Hello, good evening, everybody watching. Nice to see your friendly faces again. I'd like to reintroduce Madison from the last live stream. Thank
Hi.
you for joining us again. Dylan Riggs, it's been a little while, but this one I think we're kind of in your territory, your ball court or whatever. So super excited to talk. It's been a little while, but this one I think we're kind of
Sorry.
in your. It's okay. You know, mute that one. It's a good timing because Madison was just with me on another trip, and my truck's got all kinds of dings and scratches and dents and whatnot. Now the scratches or the dents and the dings, I'm kind of SOL on that one, but it brought up the point of cowboy pinstripes. Can we avoid those in any way, shape, or form? And Dylan's been kind enough to be on in the past, and he's got a lot of detailing experience. So I thought, well, what better time than now to go over some of these options and see what we can come up with. I have moderate experience when it comes to detailing. I have done some polishing, never touched a buffer. I understand what a clay bar is and how to use it. I know how to clean my glass and maintain my vehicle. So we're kind of in this trio here of like different skill levels, which I think is fantastic. I've discussed this before. What I love to bring on the round tables, if you will, although we're a triangle table, is diversity and not only difference of opinions, but different knowledge and skill sets. So I think we've got a very good rounded set tonight. So with that said, I'm not sure where you want to start, Dylan, because I kind of feel like this is your show, but you're here. So the main point behind this whole thing is paint protectants and ways to protect your paint from cowboy pinstripes when you're going down the dirt roads. I'm sure, Madison, when you were riding with Dino the other day, or other days, plural, there's the difference between like a branch just brushing across and then that one that sounds like fingernails on a chalkboard. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, God, I know that's paint coming off. That's no good. Now, a lot of what we're going to go on, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Dylan, but I think that in a really thick branch or something, you don't really stand much of a chance. But some of the smaller stuff, you might actually stand a chance with the right protection. So we thought we'd go over some of those. One of the places I thought we'd start with was vinyl. Everybody knows about vinyl wraps. So you want to take it from there for a moment?
Yeah, sure. So on paint protection, there's a lot of different things you can do. So there's ceramic coatings, graphene coatings, which is a new technology. You have your traditional wax, your sealants, and then you have film. Now, vinyl is pretty popular, but it's not as much of a protection. It's more of just a look and feel for your vehicle. Let's say you don't want a white car, you want to make it white and red, then typically the only way you can do that is by putting a vinyl wrap or repainting. Vinyl is going to be the way to go. Vinyl itself is about 2 to 6 mils thick, so it's not very thick in comparison to something like paint protection film. Paint protection film ranges from 6 mils to 10 mils in thickness. So to figure out how thick that really is pick up a piece of printer paper, and that will be about 3 mils. So in comparison, a vinyl wrap is typically on average just 1 piece of printer paper in thickness, whereas a traditional PPF film like XPEL, some decent quality paint protection film is about 3 pieces of paper thick. But also the material that's actually used in vinyl versus like paint protection film. Vinyl typically uses poly vinyl. It's basically like just a paper or plastic type protection, whereas paint protection film is actually polyurethane, so it's rubber, and it's very, if you hit that branch, paint protection film is going to be your way to go. It will withstand rocks. It will withstand some decent dings. Nothing like, if it's going to put a dent in your door, it's going to actually put a dent, but you won't actually like ruin the paint in that process. So you'll just have to get, hire someone or do it yourself and try to pop that dent out, but your paint will be perfectly fine. Vinyl, you can't really like polish it or anything like that, but paint protection film, depending on which ones you get, there are actually some self-healing properties. So you can get like a heat gun and kind of go over the film, and it'll actually like remove some scratches. Some of them can even heal tears in it. Vinyl is typically, like I said, in a nutshell, is just more of look and feel, whereas paint protection film is actually for protection.
Yeah, I'd seen, so one of my questions was a hypothetical question. If I had a vinyl wrap and it's been on there for a couple of years and I've been out on a bunch of trails because, you know me, I'm out there fairly often. What if I wanted and it was full of scratches, but I know they're not down to the paint because the vinyl's still intact, but it looks dull and unshiny. Now, what if I wanted to take Madison out to dinner and I didn't want it to be all dull and ugly? Could I polish out the vinyl, or I have to peel it off, start all over again?
You'd have to peel it off. You can put like a wax on it or some other products like a glaze, which I have all these chemicals out here, not to show you every single thing, but just different ones and what they do. Like, for example, this is like a glaze, and all it does is basically cover up scratches and things like that. But the thing about vinyl is if you scratch it, it changes the actual color of it. So if you have a red vinyl wrap on it and you scratch it, a lot of them, or most of them, will leave like a white mark on them. A lot of times vinyl is really divided up. So let's say you get like a scratch on like one of your doors, you usually just replace the vinyl wrap on the door. Replacing vinyl is a lot easier than doing paint protection film. It pretty much adheres to like whatever you put it on. It's pretty easy to work with. It's like putting like a film on your phone, for example. It's pretty easy to work with compared to paint protection film. But no, unfortunately you can't polish it. It's really brittle. So it's not like something you can really mend and mold a lot. You know, once you take it off, or you kind of like, I don't know, I guess, crinkle it up a little bit, it's real hard to get back out and get it back to its new condition.
Would you like the paint protectant, the clear stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely, if you're worried about, you know, protecting your vehicle, your investment, paint protection film is the way to go. If you're one who kind of changes vehicles pretty often, you know, you're not satisfied with the color of your vehicle, you know, if you want to make your rims look a different color, you can plasti dip them, or you can vinyl wrap them too. And same for your paint too. If you wanted to add stripes to your vehicle, vinyl is the way to go.
But no, do both these need to be applied by a professional, or could I apply one?
It depends on the complexity of the vehicle. So if you're getting something, let's say like a truck, you know, there's not a lot of curbs and body panels and whatnot. You can typically do it yourself. Mm-hmm. Paint protection film, they actually have a lot of kits that you can buy that will match like your bumper and your hood. A lot of people, when they get paint protection film, they're only protecting the parts of the vehicle that are really that are excessively hit. So your bumper, your hood, your mirror caps, sometimes the A pillar or B pillars of your vehicle.
What mirror cap? When you talk about it, be more specific if you would. Is that the like on the front?
So your mirror, if you notice, like when you're driving on the highway, you get a lot of what on your mirrors? You get a lot of bug splats, stuff like that. You typically get more bug splats on your mirrors than your mirrors, and you do like your even parts of your hood, for example. You get them on top of the roof. Like a lot of people don't put paint protection film on hood or on roofs. They don't put them on the back of the vehicle just because they're not taking a lot of impact. So any high impact areas where you put paint protection film mostly.
All right. So I'm on my own as far as something that I can take out on the weekends and beat it hard and then go out and be pretty on the street.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what your investments, you know, what you want to do with your investment. So doing like a front end of your vehicle. So like the high impact points are typically, like I said, the bumper, part of the hood, your mirror caps, like I said, and sometimes even the A pillars. So basically like sometimes the door frames as well, or just the doors. Typically runs around $500 to $750 for that paint protection film. To do a whole entire vehicle can be, you know, up to $10,000 plus. Like if you're trying to do something that has a lot of, if you're trying to do a lot of, you know, a lot of driving around, like you see it on Lamborghinis, obviously they can afford it. So they'll put $10,000 into putting into paint protection film to ensure that they'll never have any defect in that paint.
Mm-hmm. That's
But most people, like I said, they'll do just the front end, and that, you know, $500 to $750, and it's something that you can technically do yourself if you buy the kits. The kits aren't terribly expensive; they're about $200 or so. Just you have to know that the installation of that is time consuming. It's not for the faint of heart. It's something that you gotta, I won't say have a lot of experience in, but patience. Patience is a big thing. The good thing is with paint protection film, if it's, oh crap, it's not getting it to fit, you can take it back off and put it right back down and not really worry about it. It's not too costly. It's just, it takes some practice, takes a little bit of skill. You will have to do some cutting, so you'll get like a little razor blade around certain edges, and you'll have to like mend it to your bumper. But the installation kits that you get will make it easier for you.
Sounds like more work than I want to do. But I mean, if you're talking about a $60,000-$70,000 truck, then that's what's another, a little bit more. Because mine, I don't have Fender Flares, and now I'm kind of regretting that because I got little chips and dings all over the place. The rock get kicked up, especially having highway terrain tires. They love to pick up rocks, versus off-road tires have the bigger gaps between the knobs, and they don't pick up the small rocks. They pick up the big ones.
Correct. And then your paint protection film would fix that. If you put paint protection film on that, on those Fender Flares, you won't have any of those chip marks, nothing like that. It will be solved for you. So
is the paint protection better because it's a thicker product?
It's just thicker in the material itself. Like I said, it's basically rubber. You can get like a pin, and you can try to poke it through, and it won't go through it. Whereas vinyl, it's basically paper. It's just a thicker piece of paper. It's paper and plastic mixed together, I guess you can say. Whereas paint protection film is more like plastic and rubber mixed together. So it's more durable. You can mold it better. A lot of vehicles already have a little bit of paint protection on like the Fender Flares like that. A lot of newer vehicles, like I had a 2019 Ram, and it already had it applied. So if you did get some rock chips or something like that, it was actually, because they failed to put it on there. But a lot of vehicles nowadays have it on those high impact areas, just towards the back, and most I'm only on trucks. You can't get them on like, an SUV or anything like that, because it's not really meant to go, off the trail and stuff. But if you have a newer truck, some of them do have them pre-installed.
It's not meant to be. It doesn't mean we're not going to take it though.
Right. That's true.
So I don't know though, but a lot of this comes down to personal preference. Some people wear those scratches like a badge of honor. They each scratch has its own story. Madison, we were out the other day with Eric, and he got that big white stripe, and
that one,
not a gouge, but messed up his whole door. He's never gonna forget that one. Everybody's been, what happened there? And he's got a whole story behind it now.
Yeah, I actually don't mind whenever I get like scratches if it's from something fun like that.
I was going to ask you, how'd your car turn out? Because you drove your Honda Civic all the way across FH7 from the 101 east to the 5.
Yeah, I mean, like there's several dings and a couple of scratches by my left front bumper, but I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the fact that you made it into camp without us having to be like, okay.
Yeah, but Eleanor was just rad. I mean, I would say, also it'd be cool if it was, protected, just because she did such a good job. She deserves to look as good as possible, but I think it looks cool.
Well, when you're riding the edge, you should always wear protection.
Always wear protection when riding that edge.
Yeah, that was an insight. So I think we were talking about this on the last live stream, Dylan. I don't know if you caught on, but living on the edge is an adult joke, if you catch my meaning. And it was the ongoing for most of the trip. It was how did we bring up living on the, or something about edging on the trip.
And it kind of works because you're telling people to wear rubbers, Dylan.
Yeah, in a sense.
On their cars.
I am. So hence the edging. I'm just trying to fit that back in here. So yeah, some good time. That's some funny. We recorded most of the audio on the radios. I haven't listened to any of it yet, but I'm sure there's some really funny stuff going back. So I watched a little bit about the XPEL or XPEL Protectants, and that seemed pretty cool. Granted, it was a paid ad, and of course it's going to be better. But when the guy scratched the paint, black paint with a wire brush, and then took a heat gun to it, and it all of a sudden looked almost new, that seems pretty cool.
Yep.
But when I looked at that, it brought up another question for me. Well, vinyl, I know there's a lot of types of vinyl, a lot of thicknesses, manufacturers, so that's kind of a thick question, and I don't mean to make this go on forever, but it looked like you could get some in a matte finish and a gloss finish. Would you find one with hide scratches better than the other, a matte versus gloss?
You will probably see them more on a matte finish than you would a gloss.
Okay.
but it depends on the quality of the vinyl that you use. There's so many brands. Like 3M's the one that's the most popular that's out there, but like I said, it's not really designed to hide blemishes and stuff like that. And like I said, they're not nearly as expensive to install. For example, you can do a basic vehicle for about $2,500, which sounds like a lot, but when that vehicle is $40,000-$50,000 because it's like a quote unquote race car, making it $2,500 to do a whole vinyl wrap and change the complete look and feel of that vehicle isn't that bad. A lot of people who do vinyl wraps are like Teslas, for example, because you can only get it in ugly colors and they want to make it more sporty, so they make it in some like gunmetal gray or whatever, and that color doesn't exist. Some of them will make it matte, and applying it to a Tesla, because it doesn't have a lot of curves, doesn't have a lot of panels you have to really worry about, they can do it in a day or two on a vinyl wrap and be done with it. But like I said, it's not really meant to be that protectant. Most people who do the vinyl wrap is just for that look and feel, and it's a toss up between like which which colors you get. So let's say you do like a matte gunmetal type color and you put a scratch in it and it kind of shows through as white. It'd be a little bit harder to see gray versus white than if you get something that's pink and you get a vinyl scratch in it. Pink, white will show right through pink. But then they do have some vinyl wraps that are different colors throughout, and some of them that you can get are actually the same color all the way through material. But a lot of those are a lot more expensive, and I don't know if you can get those actually in anything but more the glossy look anyways. Okay. So there's a lot of variances and stuff, and the technology may have changed within the last couple of years too. But for the most part, you'll see defects in vinyl pretty regularly.
So you're gonna ride with me again, Madison, if I go pink? Just
yeah. Yeah,
that would definitely make me stand out in the forest.
Or like a chrome, like a purple chrome or something.
There you go.
Not a color. Is there a way to tell if it's like a paint job or vinyl or the rubber material?
There you go. That's good.
The feel. So paint protection film will feel not as smooth. It will be a little bit grabby. Vinyl will be.
Oh, no Dukes of Hazzard across the hood?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nope.
Trying to be clear.
But let's see. Vinyl, it's hard to describe the feel of that. It'll feel more like a plasticky paint. It's kind of hard to describe. It won't feel like paintwork. It's hard to explain. It won't feel like paintwork. It won't feel like a body panel. It'll feel like you're touching plastic.
Oh.
Kind of like an acrylic almost.
Correct.
Like when acrylic paint dries.
Correct. Yeah, it'll feel a little bit different. I would resemble it, just like I said, more like a plastic feeling. But again, it depends on like what you get, what you add, how thick it is, that type of stuff. But for the most part, yeah, you can tell a little bit of a difference between what is a vinyl wrap and what's not. And also look for the defects. I mean, it'll look like a scratch in a piece of paper, like if you scratch paint off of a piece of paper that was painted, it'll look something similar like that.
Yeah.
Versus like paintwork, if you scratch paintwork, you'll be able to see more paint underneath it all the way till you get to the bare metal.
Yeah.
In this case, if you scratch all the way through a vinyl wrap and it was pink and the car underneath it was white, you'll tell. For one, the thickness, you'll be able to put your finger kind of like in the groove, for example, depending on how bad the scratch was. And then you'll see the paint actually shine through it.
Interesting.
So you mentioned a rubber coating though, Madison. Did you mean like a Line-X for bed liners, or what did you mean?
Well, you said that there was like a vinyl one and then one that was more like a rubber or plastic kind of, right?
Yeah, that's the paint protection film. Yeah. That's polyurethane. It's it's essentially rubber.
Yeah.
Thank you for catching that. I missed that one.
Yeah, that is definitely more like it feels just more like rubber.
Yeah, you said that one offers more protection than the vinyl.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Okay. Now, what kind of finish is that going to give you, though? Is it going to be a matte or a gloss? Is it going to be obvious?
They have two. So paint protection film is predominantly all clear, so it shines through. If anything, it adds kind of a little bit of gloss to your vehicle, a little bit of like a shine to it, I guess you can say, just because light will reflect off of it a little bit more. but they do have matte finishing type paint protection film for matte type vehicles. But it's not it won't change the look of your vehicle. So a lot of people who do classic cars, exotic cars that aren't like race cars where they're putting a lot of like emblems and stuff like that on there, they'll typically go the paint protection film route to keep that original paint in that condition. If they're like a race car and they're going to the track lot and they want to put, numbers, they're going with the vinyl.
Which one's easier to put on?
I guess it depends on, there's a lot of variables, so it really depends on the vehicle. Vinyl is always a little bit cheaper to put on. It's cheaper material.
Yeah.
Paint protection is more work, but you can actually buy kits. Vinyl is meant to be like whatever your heart desires. You can get it 3D printed in whatever form you want. Like I seen a car that looked like kind of rustic or like dirty. It looked like it had seen some battle scars, for example, but it was all in, it was all, 3D designed and then printed off and then put on the vehicle. Whereas paint protection film, it gets cut to specifically what you need. So you have to kind of order it specifically for what you want, and they'll ship it to you. So if you have like an aftermarket bumper for like a Jeep, it won't, you can't put paint protection film on it unless you do the full installation yourself, which is a lot more work. You have to spray down a lot of, lubrication type chemicals down and set it on there. And you have to like use a razor blade and edge it and basically edge it. And do a lot of little extra work. Whereas a vinyl wrap it's more forgiving. I guess you can say that. It's more forgiving.
So what if you like mess up and when you're laying it down on your car and you mess up, are you able to take it off and like place it back on, or do you basically have to just get another kit?
Paint protection film you can, vinyl you can't.
Bummer.
So starting over with a whole new piece if you screw up the vinyl?
Correct. Vinyl, like I said, it's very brittle. So like if you kind of crinkle it up, it's much more difficult to, I guess I should take it back. It doesn't mean you can't specifically relay down vinyl, but because of the nature of the material, it's basically getting, like I said, a piece of paper, and let's say you're trying to lay it down perfectly on your hood and you crinkle it up a little bit. Getting that piece of paper back to its original form is much, much harder. Whereas paint protection film is you can roll it up whatever you want and lay it down and smooth it out, and it'll adhere to whatever you're putting it on. So it's paint protection film's harder to lay down, but you can, if you mess it up, you can just take it back off, put it back on, take it back off, put it back on. Whereas vinyl is kind of like, I kind of messed up this area. Let me just, typically they just get a big piece. They just lay it right on the hood and then they just, trace out, and there's your vinyl on it, and that's it. Paint protection film, they don't want a lot of overlap. It's harder to cut, things like that. So they typically just measure it out so it's just barely over the edge, and then they just kind of like wrap it in or tuck it into the actual the curves of the hood, and then call it a day basically. And then they'll do some fine cutting to areas that need to.
So this is not going to load, but it's a good thing I know the question anyway. Or actually, do I? Come on now, there we go. Have you seen the? This one I asked you about Plasti Dip. I was doing some research, and they were talking about for the Jeep door hinges and handles. They used Plasti Dip instead of any of the like XPEL. They didn't use vinyl. They just, I guess they dipped them or something.
Yeah, you can do that. It'll offer a little protection, but not a whole lot. A lot of people, if they're worried about their door handles, you got to look at the material of the door handle too. So some of the door handle is, if it's metal, then okay, you hit a branch, it's not painted. Some of them that it is painted, you treat it the same way you do anything else. So you protect it with, a wax, a sealant. You protect it with a ceramic coating, protect it with paint protection film, put vinyl wrap on it. It doesn't really matter what you put on it. A lot of people, when they get their vehicles, I guess, protected with paint protection film, a lot of times they do the door handles as well. But like I said, you can do a Plasti Dip as well. It's just, it doesn't really protect a lot. it'll help in scratches like with your keys, or if you're a female and you have rings on or whatever, or a guy with rings or whoever, and you're reaching around a lot, it'll protect a little bit in that regard. But once you put some scratches into Plasti Dip, it's gone.
Yeah, the video I saw, the guy he took his truck out or his Jeep out for 2 days, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta touch up the Plasti Dip on the hinges." Okay, they were red from the factory. The whole truck was red from the factory, and he did the black. Actually, I think he did use vinyl. He used the like super thick 3M or something, but he ended up Plasti Dipping the other stuff. Have you seen the rhino hide, but like patch panel kind of things? Have you seen those?
I have not. Is it like just a lining, like a spray and liner,
so
like you would for a bed?
You order it for your vehicle, and they're custom form and custom fit to every panel. So each door, each fender. I'm not sure about the hood and the trunk or the back though. They're ABS plastic, and they have magnets all over the back of them. And apparently they have some sort of velvet on there. But basically, you line it up and bink, it pops on, and then your whole vehicle is protected with ABS. Like you can bend these things and twist them a little bit, and like you could, scrape the hell out of them, and they're fine. But after doing some research on them, I don't personally care for the magnets rubbing and vibrating against my paint for one. Even though they come with felt pads, it's still, I don't know, get dust into that felt, it's still sandpaper, in my opinion. Or if you have body modifications like a snorkel or whatnot, or you've cut your fender wells for bigger tires, you have to alter the panels yourself. The other thing that the guy didn't read in the directions that he was mentioning in the video, every day they have to be removed and cleaned. So when like Madison and I were out for 3 days. Every day I'd have to take them off, wipe down my paint, wipe down the magnet mounts, and then stick them back on the car. That seems like a really good protection, but an awful lot of work that every day I got to wipe my car down when I'm out. Madison, you saw how much dust was up there. It was crazy. I mean,
yeah.
I could feel it on the inside of my teeth in the end of the day, and I was on recirculate with the air conditioning going. It was just that bad. So I wanted to bring those up because I've never heard of them. They look really cool, and if that's your thing, great. But it seems like it'd be good for somebody who's like mildly concerned about their paint, but really doesn't want to drop the same amount of money. They kind of buy these and click them on themselves and then remove them and go on their fancy date. I don't know. But I thought I'd bring it up. So the next one that I've seen, actually, it seems like it's falling out of style, is spray and bed liner, but to use to paint the entire vehicle.
I love the look of that. I love it.
I gotta admit, I kind of do too. But
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just like on like a nice big lifted truck, if it's like that black liner, I'm obsessed. I'm into it.
It does look good, and I actually considered doing it to my Toyota. Consider doing the inside of the bed for my truck for the Chevy, but I don't know about the whole outside. I've got a couple of comments, but they're nothing major. But Dylan, you know a lot more than me, so I'd love to hand the mic. And actually, on my screen, it would be a drop to you because you're below us.
No, so yeah, I mean, so bed liners and stuff, they're just really durable coatings, I guess you can say. Like I said, I had my truck sprayed in the bed and stuff, but the exterior, there's really no place to put it at the time unless you're covering paint, and I didn't want to do that. But it does offer a lot of protection. I mean, I remember I had the truck, and then I was moving some stuff at work, and they slid some stuff in the back, and it just scratched my paint. I was like, oh, it was cringy. And so I ended up getting it painted in the interior or whatever with the like Rhino or Line X. I forget what I used. And it was super durable. I have seen a lot of work trucks do it, a lot of trucks that are going off-roading. You can do it. I've seen Jeeps do it quite a bit where they can spray some Line X around a lot of stuff. They'll put it on their bumpers. They'll put them on their fenders, that type of stuff, and it'll protect it really well.
So my pros and cons that I'm aware of, and I'm no expert at this, but the pro would be I've heard that you get a little bit more dent and ding resistance because the coating is thick. And I'll let you, if you want to elaborate on that one before I switch over.
No, so yeah, it is thicker. It's like adding, not concrete, but adding something solid and it is resistant. So you won't scratch, you won't scuff, you won't even get really that many dings and stuff on it either. Now, if you're getting like a big dent, like a vehicle hits you or something like that, or you run into a tree stump, you're gonna put a dent in it. But rubbing across any scratches, like any tree limbs, that type of stuff, rubbing against a rock may damage it a little bit, but trees, anything like that, no damage to it whatsoever.
Is it like kind of heavy if you put it all over your car?
It is. It is heavier. I don't know about how much weight it adds to it. It's not super thick. It's like mud. Think of it like that, like adding a little mud to your vehicle.
I like the sound of that, though.
Yeah, it is. It's basically adding like that type of texture, that type, like a mud type texture to your vehicle, and so it is a little bit thicker. But what they do is they kind of squeegee it off. They lay it all on there, and once that first layer forms out, they just kind of like rake the rest of the stuff off of there, and then you have like what's left. And I would say it's, I don't know, maybe that thick, and you can see from this far away. It's not super thick, but it's definitely not thin. But it is really, really strong too. You can't take it off. It can chip, but it's rare. I guess you can say it's not something that's very easy to do. You have to be doing a lot of work to get that stuff off. And a lot of people don't want to put it on there because of it being pretty much permanent.
Yeah, if it does chip because it's not a flat surface, is it pretty easy to like patch up with it?
It is, and you can actually buy some over the counter, but you can actually get similar type spray and bed lining type stuff. You can put it on wherever you want, and you can do it at your own home basically, and it's cheap. It's like spray paint almost. It's heavier. I mean, it's like a thick, like I don't know. Have you ever seen I don't know, like drywall texture type stuff? You can get the spray Home X type whatever. It's very similar to that.
Okay.
Oh, the spraying like do it yourself comes in a rattle can. Yeah, I did that on the in the bed of my Toyota. It lasted like a month.
Yeah, they've increased the technology quite a bit, but it's good for touch-ups. I mean, I would have like a professional Line X or Rhino type thing, and then from there, if you do ever get like a chip or something, just go get that over-counter stuff. Find the high quality version of it and spray it in. There's a lot of knockoffs that you can, if you're trying to cheap out with it, that's probably not the way to go. But you can buy some high quality ones that'll give you 3, 5, 10 years of protection, to go back over whatever chipped off.
Before we move on to the next one, 2 shout outs. X Country Adventures, thanks for joining us. Daniel Dempsey, wish you were live with us. We miss you, man, but glad you're at least watching us virtually. So we've got some people going on. I just wanted to mention a couple of comments. My next question would be, does just the car wax? If I wax my cars twice a year, I like to spend all day rubbing it in with my elbow grease and whatnot. Does that offer me any kind of protection other than the fact that the mud comes off easier?
Mud comes off a little bit easier, and wax typically doesn't last too long. Do you know what wax you're using?
Like,
do you know what it is by chance?
Express?
Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with hundreds of products. So, what is it?
The Express Wax by P&S. That's the one I use most.
Is that the spray one?
No, it comes in a gallon jug, and then I use it in like a quart or whatever. It's like dispersing bottle.
Yeah, so that actually probably lasts you about 2 weeks, to be honest.
What?
Yeah, no joke. It doesn't last. That stuff maybe max 3, a month to 2 months max if you kept it in the garage. About 3 months. None of the spray wax does a lot of good. Like I have, for example, this is Chemical Guys. I'm not a huge fan of them. The only reason I have a lot of Chemical Guys stuff here is because I don't like it. I tried it, wanted to see what it was like, and now I don't use it. So because it's not very good stuff. Jay Leno's Garage, like these are hand applied waxes. You can put them on a machine, but these offer 1 to 2 weeks. Then you got some sealants that's supposed to last like 12 months. This probably lasts you like a month. Like this one, anyways. Your best bet if you're looking for a really high quality wax, you want to use a paste wax. it's just not as refined. The point about these type of products, these wet ones or spray ones, they're very diluted. So you get a spray wax, and you're talking like 70% water, 20% whatever else, and then the carnauba, which is the wax part, is like anywhere from 3 to 10%, depending on what you get. Whereas if you use a paste wax, they're formulated to use like 70% carnauba, and the rest is fillers, basically, to be able to apply it and stuff like that. Laying this down, or Jay Leno's garage, for example, they lay down super easy. They come off super easy. Technically, you could theoretically like dilute this and put it in a spray bottle. Just put like an ounce in a spray bottle, for example. The rest is distilled water, and then you got one as well. A lot of that type of stuff, it doesn't last very long. There are synthetic ones. If you're looking at something that's a spray where you can apply it, look at.
I'm not talking about a spray. I think I might have misconveyed. I use the spray just for like a general wipe down between trips when my truck isn't filthy. I'll dust it off with that. But I mean, like the stuff I'm using is in a similar bottle. What you're holding, made by PNS, that I have to squirt on there and then polish it in with a rag. The one I use is the daily.
That would still be a spray wax, essentially. So what you do is you either spray on the panel, or you spray on your rag, and you buff it off, and you flip the towel over and you get it to a shine or whatever. Yeah. All those, like I said, there's like 70% water, 30% filler with whatever else is left. You can go anywhere. Most of those waxes don't last a very, very long time, unless you keep it, very, very clean, or you keep it garage kept. But yeah, if you're going twice a year, I would definitely go a lot longer. I would look at trying to put a synthetic, and PNS probably has it. I do like a lot of their products. I don't have any because I've used my last bit that I have, but like, I love PNS. Brake Dust, the Brake Buster, and then I like their PNS, their sealant that they use, their gloss enhancer. I mean, you lay it on and it's Bead Maker. It's great. So I would use Bead Maker, any of their express wax type stuff. Bead Maker is a tried and true.
5-gallon bucket.
That would be the one that I'd use. You can put the wax down and put that Bead Maker on top of it, and you'll get your longevity out of it more, because that's a spray sealant. Spray sealants are a lot more durable. They're synthetic waxes, I guess you can say. They will last a lot longer than any type of wax will. But there's some really good waxes that I'll introduce you to, like Fussel Wax is a real popular one. It's one of the best on the market. You can get Fussel White, Fussel Black. They do the same thing. It's just one's for supposedly not lighter vehicles, but it has different chemicals in it. For certain, like if you have like a matte type paint, you'd want to use white or black. I forget which one's which, but it'll last like 6 months. It's a high grade carnauba wax, one of the best on the market. It gives you a lot of hydrophobic properties to your paint. It's one of the best. It's Japanese made, so it ships from Japan, I think. It's a really good quality wax compared to like any of the spray stuff. For something cheap, something relatively inexpensive that you can get readily available, is actually through Turtle Wax now. And I've never been really a big fan of Turtle Wax, but they have taken time within the last 2 years to really beef up their product line. And you can get Seal and Shine. You can review anywhere. You can their Seal and Shine is very, very popular. You get 6 months durability. It's $12 for the bottle. It adds a lot of gloss to your vehicle. It's really easy to apply. You can apply it in almost direct sunlight and heat, and be able to apply it without having streaking and that type of stuff. And it's, like I said, $12. It's one of the best on the market. Someone wants if I get done detailing a vehicle, I'll use that just because it's cheap. I don't charge it to the customer at all. And it'll give them some good protection. That way they're not driving at home and they're already getting water spots or something.
Parking next to the sprinklers.
Yeah, right.
I just had it detailed and look at it. Like, well, yeah.
What does it look like when you need to get it waxed again?
There you go.
So you can tell by how the paint feels. It won't feel as smooth or as slick. and a lot of the hydrophobic properties won't be there. So if most waxes will still give you hydrophobic properties, so basically when you spray water on it, it kind of sheets off the paint or bubbles up on the paint, leaves a lot of droplets. That means you're having some type of protection. If that's gone and you put water on it and it's just slowly coming off that paint, then it's probably ready to reapply, more wax or another sealant. There are ceramic ones now. I haven't really been testing too much because I do more ceramic coatings, not ceramic sprays. For example, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is basically a ceramic spray. It's a little bit thicker of like a ceramic coating, but you can put this on and it'll last 4 or 5 months. It's using a ceramic property, SiO2 is what it's called, and it's just very super hydrophobic, very dense, kind of like coating like. But again, like in this bottle, you're talking like 10% SiO2, whereas an actual ceramic coating, whatever I did with the piece, like this puppy right here, I'll show you really quick. Like this bottle here was $100, but this is pure SiO2, like 93%. This puppy is just mostly water with like 10%. That's a real coating, a spray thing.
And
this, like I said, this is $100.
The $100 one, is that like one use, or will you get multiple uses out of that?
Depending on the size of the vehicle. So if I was applying it to a truck, this is why I still have this one. If I was doing it to a truck, this would be one use. Basically for a truck, van, large SUV, a larger vehicle, about what you'll have. I'll probably have about that much left. Not enough to go over the vehicle again. And this is a single, and it hardens up. Once you open this up, this is basically glass, liquid glass. So you apply it to your vehicle and it will harden up. It's stronger than most clear coats out there. I mean, there's all kinds of different stuff. This could go on for forever, but essentially in a nutshell, your paint has different degrees of hardness. Most German vehicles are hard paint. Most Japanese vehicles are soft paint. And what that means is if you was driving and a rock hits the same type of vehicle, but one with German paint, one with Japanese paint, the Japanese vehicle will scratch but not chip. The German vehicle will chip but not scratch. So if you were to go through a couple tree branches, it's very easy to scratch Japanese paint, but very hard to scratch German paint. That's why if you look at an older BMW or an older Audi or Mercedes or whatever, you'll probably notice that they have a lot of chip marks, but you may not notice tons and tons of scratches. You will get them, but not as common as you will a Mazda or a Lexus or a Toyota. You'll notice less. Yeah.
I feel like it would be easier to fix a scratch and not a chip.
That's correct. It is. So Tesla is very soft paint. That's why Teslas are notorious for going ahead and getting paint protection film, getting ceramic coatings. They're one of the biggest ones of getting it because their paint is so soft. It's, you could basically just go through use the wrong type of microfiber towel on it, and there's it's a microfiber towel, shouldn't scratch it. But if you don't have a real plush microfiber towel, like something that's very, very soft, you can scratch just one wipe on a Tesla. That's how soft it is.
Why would you do that?
Keep it from chipping, because if you look at the front of the bumper of a Tesla, it's notorious for getting all kinds of it's very, very flat. But that's why they do it. They keep it from getting chipped. In the long run, softer paint is probably better than harder paint, but in the short stint of stuff, having harder paint is better than softer paint. So if you're going to have a vehicle for a very long time, you probably want to get a vehicle with softer paint. Most American vehicles, they're right in the middle. So, we're fine. If you have a Chevy, a Ford, whatever, pretty much for the most part, they're always medium. So they're pretty easy to protect. They don't get tons and tons of chip marks or chips in them, things like that. But also black paint a lot of times is always on the softer side because of how dirty it will look, just driving it outside through whatever, and you come back and you can actually see the pollen on it, whereas a white car you can't, for example. Black paint is usually always on a little bit more of the softer side than it is the harder. Most vehicles, not all, and not all years either. I can't widely say a Volkswagen from 2020 to 1998 is all going to be on black and soft or whatever. They do change it up quite a bit, and quite frankly, but on the majority of vehicles, black paint's always a little bit more on the softer side.
Yeah. So is like soft paint just a lot more expensive, or why is everyone not using it?
No, it's mostly I guess it's hard to
rule out why.
I mean, softer paint is probably it may be a little bit more expensive than it would be to have like a harder paint or not. I mean, it depends on like, there's a lot of chemicals that go into making the paint itself and some different stuff. Typically German cars are more expensive, right? Their paint, if you want a different paint, it's a little bit color of paint. It's a little bit more expensive. I think harder paint cost is a little bit more because it does give you short-term protection than softer paint. But longevity wise, you can correct soft paint easier, but a German, most of the German cars are more expensive than most American cars anyways. So they may not care. They're like, oh, well, they may lease it. So they may just put more expensive. It could be marketing too. Who knows? There's a lot of variables into that. But for me as a detailer, I want to work with soft paint all day long because it's easy. I can get by with, like this pad right here, this yellow pad. It's a medium pad. It's a polishing type pad. I can do medium defects on a soft paint, whereas I'd have to use a heavy cut pad like this white one here, this microfiber pad, to do any type of correction or that same type of correction on a German paint, where sometimes this on medium defects, I wouldn't be able to use this. I'd actually have to wet sand the vehicle.
Wait, when you say medium, can you be a little more specific? Because I don't even know what that means.
I guess it depends on, like what type of defect. So a lot of smaller scratches, you can kind of sometimes feel it with your fingernail. It doesn't mean that you actually threw the clear coat, but small scratches, I would say, are medium defects. Defects where you can see like a smudge mark or whatever, but you're like trying to wipe it off. Water spots, those are light defects. Heavy defects is pretty much them really screwing up the clear coat, and you have to like do a big area to like blend everything in, like a big, you rubbed against a branch and you went through the clear coat in certain areas, but you want to kind of cover up a little bit and make it kind of uniform, make it harder to see. That would be a heavy defect.
Oh, okay, heavy defect. I was thinking like medium as in like, there you go, you got it to work. Hi, Madison. Thanks for joining us. No, just kidding. So I was thinking of like sandpaper, as in, a light grit being 4,000 grit, medium grit being 100, and heavy being like 80 or 50 grit. I'm trying to think off the cuff here. That's when I was thinking of medium. I was wondering if that was like the abrasion or what.
Medium, you can probably think of 3,000 to 5,000 grit sandpaper. Light defect is like above 5,000 grit. Heavy defects is probably around 2,000 to 1,500 grit. So there's only like chemical wise, I know we're kind of going all over the place here, but like, for example, this could remove 1,500 grit sand marks accompanied with this type of compound with this type of pad can remove 1,500 grit sandpaper marks where it looks perfectly finished out, polished. You can't tell that it was ever rubbed on.
And how much is that bottle?
This bottle is about $20.
Oh, wow.
It's not too expensive.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that I can show you here. Like you have like this is M205. It's an ultra finishing polish. So if I'm going to bring like a real shine out, like whenever you sand something and you run over it with the compound, you'll smooth it out, but it'll look real hazy with this. Once you get done, it's going to be hazy. You'll look on black, it'll look kind of gray. Then you come up with a second one and you finish it with something like this or like this, something a little bit, economical. But also the best one that I use is this puppy. On all new vehicles, pretty much I can get by with just this puppy. And this is like one of the best on the market. You can't get any better. This bottle, this liter here was like, 40, $50. Not too terribly expensive.
What I find is it's not the individual prices as much as it is the you need this, you need that, you need 4 of those, 2 of these, 6 of those, a gallon of this, 10 gallons of that. That's when it starts to add up.
Yeah, and a lot of that's marketing though. So to be honest, like, I'm gonna have all kinds of these products here. Like, I'll just show you one. So this is Optimum No Rinse. This thing is magic. Okay, so you're talking in a wash bucket, just one wash bucket, like 2 gallons. You put 1 cap full, and you have your whole wash solution, and it's no rinse. So you dip it in your bucket or whatever, and you wash the vehicle off with 2 or 3 mitts or 6 or 7 rags, and then you don't have to rinse it. You're done. It's magic. You use interior. Nope, it's Optimum No Rinse.
What?
That's what it stands for. It doesn't. It's in the chemical. Like it's hard to explain, but this is like, no matter where you go, if you talk to any professional detailers, they will swear by this product. And this was like $40 for this thing, and this will last me. So when you do dilute it, you dilute it 256 to 1. This is the dilution ratio. But I use it for.
Where's all the dirt go? Like, it doesn't just fall off like a dead fly.
It's something, my dad's a chemist, and I wish I could, get him into this type of products and stuff too, and he can give me the chemistry behind it. But essentially, like when you use this and you put it on the vehicle, somehow it bonds with the paintwork, and then anything on the paintwork, it kind of lifts it up so you can wipe it off. It's very, very lubrication wise. Like it's just easy to wipe off with your mitt. So then what you do is you start wiping off. It all go to your mitt. You just get another mitt and you go to another part of the vehicle.
Okay.
And
it's awesome. Moved, just not with water. And is it going to dry?
So you put it in the water, but yeah, it'll dry them. You don't want to always do any type of work in any type of direct sunlight, but you're supposed to use distilled water with it, so that way you don't get any water spots in direct sunlight, and you use that chemical. And you can, like, I've done the Jeep with it a couple times where it's like, I don't want to go out there and get my pressure washer out. I don't want to do all these things. I don't have a lot of dust. So like what you do if you wash your vehicle once a week and you're only getting dust on it, use that thing. But that's good for your glass. That's good for your exterior. You could put it in a bottle to put it for your interior. So you can knock out all these different types of products, just one. And it's not just trying to push that one product. There's, it's just great. It's a great product. You
can use that product in your car? Like on what? Like on
anything.
What?
So you can use on dash. You can use it on, spots. Like if you want to use it on your leather, you can use it on the glass in there. You can use it on your infotainment system. It's designed, to basically encapsulate stuff so you can lift it off. So whatever you're wiping, it just kind of
bubbles around it.
Encapsulates it. Yeah. Wow. But it doesn't make suds. Like people will think it's gonna like suds up like you would like a normal soap. It doesn't do that. It doesn't suds up. It looks like you put it in the water and you spray it in, and it I don't know. It's hard to explain. You have to see it. Crazy. Maybe one of these other live streams we can do a little. If Dylan comes out or I go to his place, we can do a live stream of testing a lot of these products out and showing you how to do it. It'll be a good tutorial.
We're going to bring our cars and we're going to meet you in your driveway.
Eleanor is a really nice red color. Like I think she should definitely go and get tested on.
Perfect, no problem.
Great.
Funny. So here's the question though, and we're getting sidetracked because we're into interiors, but you said you can use it on interiors, but my understanding is you have to be very careful about what you use on dashboards because a lot of the dashboards these days have anti-glare properties to them, so they don't put a glare on the windshield when you're driving.
Correct. Yeah. So this would be for cleaning, but once you get done cleaning, you always want to use something to protect it, UV type protection. This is like one of my favorite products. It's like one of the only products I like from Chemical Guys, honestly, is VRP. It's a very solid product. You put it on top of, you can use exterior or interior. Like I put this on the wheels to give it that shine, that wet, not a wet look, but a good sheen to it. I use this. Something else that's very, very popular and highly recommended is 303 Aerospace Protectant. Very, very good product as well. They're basically the same type of product. This one's a little bit not diluted. Like it's better for like wheels and stuff like that. Like this is more of a spray. This is a gel, I guess you can say. So interior and stuff, you typically will use this. Exterior, you're going to put it on like a fender, you put it on your wheels, put it on anything black, basically any type of, it's VRP, so vinyl, rubber, or plastic, you can put this on. This does the same thing, but it's more spray. People typically just spray it on your microfiber towel, and then you'll just wipe whatever you're in your interior. Like I said, you can put it on any type of vinyl, any type of rubber or plastic.
So Daniel Dempsey says we can live stream on his Jeep. It's black, lots and lots of scratches.
Why don't we just put the black liner on your Jeep? That would be way cooler. The bed liner.
Actually, Daniel's the one that brought up the con to me about spray on bed liners for the outside. I think Dylan already mentioned it. Actually, it's pretty much permanent. It's once it's on, it's there.
Yeah, so they just do it.
You got Madison for life, but probably maybe not every single other girl. So I don't know. Does that stuff peel after like say 10 years?
I wouldn't say it peels, but it'll start fading. Yeah, it'll start fading. It may start chipping. But it depends. I mean, I've seen some where it's hard to say nowadays because marketing and it's like one of the things, you buy a bag of chips and the chip bag is this big, but you get chips like here. Who knows what they're doing? They're probably watering it down now, and what you buy now may not last 10 years, but what you got 3 years ago may last 10 years. So it's hard to say nowadays, but typically, like on my old truck, I had a bed liner in it, and that thing was a 1993 S10, and it was 18 years old, and you couldn't even tell that there was anything wrong with that bed. Like, it was still immaculate.
All right, well, that's good.
So wear and tear is going to be your biggest thing. Wear, tear, and heat. Those are the three biggest problems with any type of thing you put on your paint on your vehicle.
And going down end roads are definitely wear and tear. That's for sure. Especially the ones that aren't even on the map, which we managed to find quite a few of those when we were out last time. Good roads, though, generally.
Yep.
So the next thing I'd be curious about would be coatings. I wrote down ceramic, but you added graphene. What is that?
Yeah, graphene's new. It's a new technology. Hardly anyone has it. I'm getting ready to do a test on a couple vehicles here soon. And it's basically the next evolution to graphene or to ceramic. So ceramic coatings, what they're good at is it's adding kind of like glass to your paint, right? So on a Tesla, adding like this bottle like I showed you will make the paint harder than what you got it from the factory, right? So if you correct the paint and you get it perfectly, there's no defects, it's a brand new vehicle and it's polished out, you get the shine has the gloss to as high as you can get it, and then you put this puppy on, it'll give you 3 to 5 years. It'll make it have a candy shine. It'll make everything look better. It'll make it look like you have glass on your vehicle. And it'll last, like I said, 3 to 5 years. And then you can always maintain it and get more use out of it. Get like ceramic type sprays, so something kind of like this, whatever, to kind of rejuvenate the coating. That's been on the market, but it's for a number of years now, and it's kind of reaching its peak of evolution. So it's good for like water spots too. Like if you have a sprinkler system, it just, nothing sticks to the paint with like a ceramic coating. It's super slick. Like if I was to put something on this table and I start lifting it up, the uncoated side, like everything would just fall off. The non-coated side, like everything will stick to it. That's the point of having ceramic coating. If water hits it, it just falls right off. Picture it kind of like having Rain-X on your glass, right? Having Rain-X on there, like water starts hitting it, beads up, or it just starts sheeting off the thing. That's basically but for your paint. And there's all kinds of different ones. This is Crystal Serum Light, and then I use another ceramic coating on top of it called XOV4. It's like one of the best in the market that you can get for consumer grade. And then now you have graphene, which is new, but it's supposed to really greatly reduce water spotting, which is one of the things that this didn't do the best in. It reduced it, but you'd still, like, if there's water left over, you could see the water spot. And it was easier to clean, but you still had water spot. Like, you could just clean the vehicle and the water spot will come off with ceramic coating. Graphene, it's very hard to actually get a water spot because of the chemicals that it uses. It uses actual graphite, like the atoms of graphite. So picture lead or pencil and formulating it to make an actual fluid and then putting it on your vehicle. It adds more shine, more slickness than what most ceramic coatings do, and it's semi-permanent, meaning the one I'm going to test is a 9-year coating, and the only way you'll get it off is basically by wet sanding. That's the only way you'll take it off, essentially.
So
more likely after some time. Yeah,
is that
I'm sorry.
Color sanding, where you're using like 2,000 or 4,000 grit sandpaper, getting it wet and just kind of polishing it up?
Correct, but you're not going to go down like real heavy, so you can use like 5,000 grit, or whatever, and you can probably get it off. You can get it off with like a microfiber cutting pad like this, but it'll take a lot more time on a polisher than it will with if you just wet sand the vehicle with your hand. And it's kind of like essentially you're clay barring your vehicle, but with like 3,000 to 5,000 grit sandpaper to get the coating off. That's how permanent it is. It's not for the faint of heart. It is really easy to apply. Supposedly, I'll know whenever I get the product and I get to review it and apply it to a vehicle and see what they think about it. I'm going to apply it to a van, and I'm going to apply it to a F-150. They're going to be my 2 guinea pigs. They agreed to it as customers, so they're going to let me do it to theirs, because like, hey, it's a 9-year coating. Like, for me to get that at a professional detail shop, some center that will be able to do this, it's going to cost them $2,000, and I'm here to do it for $750 or something like that. So they'll get a really good deal because it's going to be newer for me but it'll be a marketing thing for me. So I get to review it. I get to put that. Hopefully, I'll have YouTube ready to go, and I'll put that on a YouTube channel. I'll be one of the first people to be able to review that type of product, and hopefully, I'll get popular off of it and see what its actual durability is. It's a great coating. It's very, very chemical resistant too. So that's another property that you get with most ceramic coatings is you get a lot of fallout. A lot of tree sap, bird droppings, etching. This is kind of what these are. These are like a destructive layer. You adding basically another clear coat on top of your clear coat, and over time these will wear out. But graphene, being a lot stronger, a lot more chemical resistant, you can get bird poop on it and it'll just wipe right off. You have to, you can basically just lick it off if you wanted, But
good. No problem. I'm there. I'm ready. This is my truck.
Yeah, but it is, and it's harder too. So again, if you have a softer painted vehicle, you can apply that graphene or ceramic coating, and it will make it harder. And it's not going to sit there and resist branches like paint protection film will, but it will help a little bit. It will help from marring. So marring is basically if you use a clay bar, you'll kind of like etch the paint a little bit, not look like a scratch, but it'll be kind of disformed, I guess you can say. So that's what marring is in a nutshell. And any type of harder coating will kind of take that away. But graphene is supposed to be the next evolution of that. It's supposed to be even harder. It's supposed to be even more chemical resistant, even more glossier, even more slick. It's basically ceramic on steroids, basically. But it's at its infancy. It's new. What people don't know is its actual durability. It's supposed to get 9 years. May get 1. May get 6 months. May get 9. No one knows yet. This is why we're trying to put it out in the market and see how well it actually performs.
So to pause for just a second, Billet TV, if you're still watching, thank you for tuning in. It's the first time I've seen you on my live streams, and I love watching your live streams. Fantastic. One point that I'm going to rewind a little bit, I forgot, Daniel. I apologize. Daniel had mentioned that he had an estimate done for Line-X on his whole Jeep. It was about $7,000. Added about 120 to 150 pounds for to do the whole vehicle. He also went on to add in another comment that Lifetime has Line-X has a lifetime warranty. The shop in Ukiah said that if there's ever a chip or something, they will fix it for free. So I guess that answers Madison's question that I was curious about too. Well, what happens? Like, is it going to match? Is it going to look ugly? Those kinds of things. So that was good to know. So the next thing after, let's see here, is back to my script, if you will. So I was going to ask, before you apply these, what needs to be done, what kind of preparation? But it sounds like from your response, Dylan, that's a long, drawn-out question that we're probably going to add to the end of this and maybe move on with maybe removing some of the scratches, different techniques, because we've covered some coding prevent them.
Basically, it's in a nutshell, it's prep work, and this is kind of like what all laid out here is different types of stuff. Like all the different tools that you use for detailing your vehicle. Snow foam, for example. There's a lot into the prep work, but yeah, I mean, it's almost a video in itself of how to properly wash your vehicle. Like a 3-bucket method. You got one for washing, one for rinsing, one dedicated for your wheels. I have a wheel brush, for the tires, one for the face of the rims, one for the actual tires. Again, if I need to have big tires like Jeep, I go with the big boy. Going into the fender or the actual wheels themselves, getting in and out, use something like this.
Wow.
Smaller wheels, another one.
Looking at way up
I
in
use
here.
this
I maybe spent $10 at the most washing my car at like one of those self-serve car washes.
Oh god.
Oh man, you guys.
I'm sorry.
Every time I'm using the brush, I'm like, I don't like the way this feels, like brushing against the car, but it's here, so it must be okay. And you have like 11 different brushes.
Yeah, so you'd have to, fill everything. So this won't scratch your wheels or anything. I use this for the wheels, not the paint, the wheels. Same here. And then like this, I'll use on, on the wheels as well, like, getting into certain areas I can't reach with like one of these or with the brush. Then this I actually use on the paint. It's real soft. It won't scratch anything. And I use it around emblems. So, I mean, in a nutshell, like whenever I'll rinse the vehicle off, and then I'll actually spray this puppy right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's a snow foam. So basically, it's like shaving cream on your vehicle. It kind of encapsulates some of the dirt, some of the grime, some of the layer of pollen on your vehicle, kind of like make it so it's easy to lift off a little bit. But then as it's dwelling on your paint, I'll go around to like your emblems, around your mirror caps, your glass, like areas that I can't get with a wash mitt. Your grill, for example, I'll use this puppy and I'll get it everywhere around the entire vehicle while it's dwelling, and then I'll rinse it off. And then I'll go to just wash the paint, using mitts or whatever, that we're using. But like all the tight places, all the nooks and crannies around your fuel cap, for example, I just use something like this, and it won't damage your paint or anything like that. And in a nutshell, if you're doing a ceramic coating anyway, so it won't matter if you do scratch the paint a little bit, because that's the whole point of polishing in the first place. But to apply a ceramic coating, just to keep it short, it's all in the prep work. And to apply a ceramic coating, it typically takes me anywhere from 1 to 2 hours to apply. Because it's a small little pad that you put it on. You just put some drops on, and you go over the paint, all back and forth in a crosshatch pattern, back and forth, working in about 2x2 sections all till the paint's done. About an hour to 2 hours, doesn't take that long. But to actually prep the paint for that process is anywhere from 4 to 10 hours to do it. So if I'm doing, wow. washing is about 1 to 2 hours just to get everything kind of clean. But there's a lot of steps. There's a lot of repetitive steps too. So, like I said, I'll rinse the paint just to get everything off of there, and then I'll snow foam it. And once it's, dwelling, I'll go around to all the nooks and crannies with this guy, like I said, and then I'll rinse the paint off, and then I'll go through and I'll put like, I think I have it, glue gun, stuff like for tar, for whatever else to get it off.
I like that thing. I use that in my house a lot. Yeah,
to get tar, get rid of some other stuff, and then all-purpose cleaners, which I have around here. This puppy, for example,
so
all-purpose cleaner.
Is this all stuff you can find at like your local hardware store, like the brushes and everything?
Some of this, yes. Most of it, no. So you can get most of the stuff at a hardware store, but you want to invest in quality because you don't want to damage the paint. So like this right here is soft. It's not going to damage your wheels, right? This one is coarse. It's harder. It's for like rubber. If you was to put this on the wheels and you have like nice wheels, this could scratch it, for example. So it's all in the tools that you use. It is important to have the right tools, but that's what makes detailing. And it also makes a good detailer from a bad detailer too is also in the tools that they use. You can get started in detailing using the cheap stuff. Like I have all kinds of cheap microfiber towels, but investing in good microfiber towels really help your work. Like you don't want to scratch the paint, right? So don't use a cheap microfiber towel. Use something that's decently quality. If you have like a sport type wheel and you need something really strong to really clean that wheel or whatever, then use something that's really coarse. To clean with. Invest in good quality tools. That's what I've been doing for a long time. A lot of stuff that I have is the high-end stuff. So you can go to a detail center and the stuff that I have is the same that they have. Like, it's no different. I invest in the good stuff. And it's not overly expensive. Like, this was $6, for example. This is probably $9 for one, just softer than the other, but they're like $9 a piece. These are probably like $5-6 a piece. This is, I think, like $15-20, but it's actually pretty sturdy. It's strong. It's a good material. Lasts, I think I've done 30 cars with this, and it looks almost brand new. This is brand new, but you can tell it's not like super used. For example, this is 20-something cars, and it's almost new still. Just kind of the bristles and stuff are kind of messed with. But you invest in good quality, tools. I've had ones where I spent, like, I don't want to spend that much for a brush. I'll just spend, 10, and the next, 4 cars later, it breaks on you. So you got to think, investing in some of the good quality stuff. Like, I bought 12 of these pads that were about $80. And the only reason I bought 12 of them was because, I want to do a whole vehicle and, pass on time saving. Like, if I was doing a vehicle and this time was a concern, I'm charging by the hour. If I only had one of these pads to do a vehicle, I'm going to have to like do a 2x2 section, go rinse this out or go wash it, dry it, and then put it back on and do another section. That's why I have 12 of them. So I can do the whole entire vehicle and then, be done with it. And then at the end of the day, clean them up. There's all kinds of ways to kind of have time savings. But like I said, this is like $70. I have 4 of these pads. These pads are, I think $25 for 4 of them, I think. So it's not crazy expensive. And then if you go to the store to buy like soaps and stuff, I don't know. I don't want to have around here. Like, the soap is like $10, right?
So
again, go ahead.
So if you said that you can't get them at the local hardware store, like the good stuff. So where do you get them?
You have to go to online. Yeah, you can go to you can get all stuff on Amazon, but Amazon may have higher prices.
Yeah.
The best products I think to get that are detail centric, that are good quality, is Mcguire's detailer line, which I have a ton of stuff you can't see, but for example, this all-purpose cleaner was $10.83, and I can dilute it for carpets, for example, 21. I can use it in the home, which I have done. I have an extractor, like I have kids and stain the carpet, for example, because they spilled something. And then I have just 20-1, so I can make 20 gallons of product with this, and it costs $10.83, and it's their detailer line, so it's really good quality product. There's to save money, that would be, you can get that directly from Mcguire's, for example. You can go to Amazon to get it. You may pay a little bit more because of fees and stuff, but there are detail shops you can go to. Like, I shop on Car Supplies Warehouse a lot. I shop off of the Clean Garage. There's, we can come up with a bunch of, places to get it at. But if you don't care, to pay like $2 extra, get it from Amazon, get it in a couple days, and you'll be good to go.
Or in our area, Madison, there's a place across from the Santa Rosa Costco. I have never been let down, and their prices are actually really affordable, and they only sell good stuff. It's where I go for all my products, all my brushes, my towels, and whatnot. It's Northgate Detail in Santa Rosa. And every time I've gone in there, like, having no clue, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is what I want to do. They spent a ton of time with me and made sure that I left with the right products.
Yep. Yeah, cool.
If you want a walk-in store, they sell everything from car soap to polishes to I've got leather cleaner and leather moisturizer that makes the car, makes both my cars smell so nice and fresh. Oh, I love that stuff. Yeah. So how about we at some point I'd love to get a couple of links, Dylan. I don't want a whole bunch, but maybe 2 really cool links from you that you might recommend for where to buy products, because that is a good point.
Yeah, I'll give you the links, and what I'll do is I plan on adding, whenever I start doing the YouTube stuff, I'm going to end up adding like my own little Amazon storefront, for example, and I'll probably put all the recommended products that I really like to use on there. So if people check them out or whatever, they can choose to buy them from there or not, and they can buy them if they can find it someplace cheaper and stuff like that. But I want to push like only good quality stuff. Like I said, I have a lot of chemical guys here because they're not the best. Like, their soaps I really like but it's soap. Like, there's only so many things you can do to a soap. It's supposed to be clean at the end of the day, right? So, but there's some other products that I really like from them. For example, VRP. It's super well reviewed, super well or rated really high and stuff. You can't go wrong with that. Same with like this. There's stuff that I'll probably put on there that you can get to any store, especially now. Walmart is carrying a lot of Chemical Guy stuff, and they're over the counter stuff, right? So you can go in there and you got to know that you're going to buy something that's going to be like an interior cleaner. It's going to cost $10 for a 16 ounce. You just have to know that you can probably buy that same interior cleaner in a gallon and just dilute it for like $15 or $20. And people will go buy that 16 ounce, bottle or whatever and do the interior and do it 2 or 3 times. And it's already diluted. So it's marketing. It's over counter, products. Griots is a really good company to buy from if you're going to an AutoZone or some other store. If you don't have a detail area around, going to AutoZone and picking up a lot of Griot stuff or Griots, however you say them. Like I have this guy. This is for customers. They're like, hey, I don't want a full paint protection. I want to enhance the gloss, but I don't want to pay you an absurdly high amount of money to paint correct or whatever. I'm like, I got you, fam, and I'll just use this, and it'll lay down protection. It'll do some slight correction to their paint. It'll make it glossier, and I can do it all in one little step, and save. I can charge it a little bit. You pick it up at any AutoZone store, for example.
I'm having to censor myself. I really apologize for my giggles in the background. You're doing a fantastic job. I'm just still edging. It's pretty funny. But no, it's all good. It's great. And Eric Tokel, who some of you have seen if you've watched a couple of my past live streams, he just texted me to let me know that automotive stores sell a lot of good stuff too. Eric, if you're still watching, put that in the chat.
Yeah, Eric, don't ignore us.
Yeah, please come join us. Come say hi. Let's talk about your scratches. I could send you a link if you're still watching. Let me know. So what about ways to remove scratches? Okay, so I've never put any wrap on, never done any protection, never done the gaffine or the glass stuff, never done any of that stuff.
Right.
But I have scratches. So the only ways that I really know how would be like I would attack it by washing my car and then using a clay bar with a lubricant because the clay bar is slightly abrasive. But also then I go after it with a polishing compound, which is elbow grease because I don't use a buffer. And then I go after it with a wax to remove the polish streaks. Please correct me because I have a feeling you know a much better way, Dylan.
So so what you do is after you wash the vehicle right, you'll go through and then you'll clay bar it. And then I have a synthetic one. There's all kinds of different types to use. Since most of the vehicles I do nowadays are newer vehicles, so I don't have to get like the actual kind of like putty. So I'll use something like this just to make a time saver. This will do like 50 cars before you have to replace it. It costs like $15 you can get it at AutoZone. And what you do is you'll basically spray something like this. It's called clay lube, and you'll just spray it. You can use other products, but you'll spray it on and you'll just go across back and forth till it's smooth. That'll get rid of any type of embedded contaminants like bugs, whatever, any type of stuff that's still kind of in the clear coat. You'll rip out with that combination. And then what you do is you actually use a spray wipe, and this is just like a little bottle I have of some stuff left over. But basically, it's just an IPA wipe. So isopropyl alcohol with distilled water. You'll spray it on and you'll wipe it off. And then you'll do like an actual chemical decontamination to get rid of any iron particles, brake dust, that type of stuff. And I have other products around it too. But anyways, enough for showing you guys products because I can go on and on for that. But then you'll do another IPA wipe, get rid of everything. And then you'll technically be ready to actually polish the paint. And depending on how bad the paint is will depend on what type of correction you need to do. So you can do a polish. So if you don't really have any scratches and you're just trying to make it glossy, you'll use a very soft pad, which I got a couple. For example, this is one. This will just basically be used to make it shiny at the end of the day, and it won't really correct the paint, but it'll enhance it so you can apply the coating.
So you have a hole in that? Is it on a machine or are you hand doing it?
I do it by machine. Everything I do is by machine. It's back in the day, it was, or it could be problematic, but nowadays you can use polishers and stuff. And what they do is they're called DA polishers. and they're dual action. So basically what happens is they're going in circles, but they're also oscillating like this, back and forth all over the place. So this gets rid of the heat and makes it where you're not going over the same spot too much, like in a circular motion, like a rotary polisher was. Those would burn through paint if you weren't careful. And the pads got too hot, that type of stuff. But nowadays it's pretty safe. They don't really take a lot of, like, you can go on the same spot for 30 minutes on your paint and you still won't go through the clear coat. Like, you can just hold it down for 30 minutes, put pressure on it if you want, and it will not go through that clear coat. That's the glory of having newer technology with DA polishers and stuff like that. And you can get them again on AutoZone. They just redesigned the one from Griot's, lifetime warranty. It's called the G9. It's a 9mm one, so when it goes around in circles, it moves about 9mm around. And but yeah, it's like $120, I think, something like that. But it's one of the best ones on the market that you can get for an entry-level polisher. I still have one that's similar. It's an older model of it that I use for most of my work. But you can use it to apply waxes. You can use it to apply sealants. You can use it to apply glaze. You can use it to polish your paint, compound your paint. The only thing you can't use it on is to apply coatings and stuff down. And that's it.
So one of the things that I wanted to touch a little bit more on with the clay bar is that I found that it removes a lot of, like, basically the garbage you pick up when you're driving. Like, you're driving through the rain, you're getting all the grease from under all the cars. You're driving around the dust. Sometimes you get those iron particulates, the hard bird poos, like all kinds of stuff that just washing will not get off. Clay bar will generally get it off. Now, I will, with that said, though, things like really hard bug guts or tar and grease, if they're large enough, I'll use something. I don't use Goo Gone. I have a P&S equivalent. It's probably the same stuff, just marked up higher. I'll go after those with that to remove them and then go after them separately. But it sounds like me using any kind of polish without being the right kind in a buffer, I'm kind of wasting my time and just kind of making the paint.
You can get correction. You can get correction. It's not time efficient, and you'll break your back doing it. You can technically do a vehicle by hand, and it's the same thing. You're just going to go around in circles all over the place like this with your hand, putting pressure down to do it, and you will get correction. But you got to think that this thing will oscillate, 1,000 times in a minute. How many times can you really do this in a minute? You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to do 1,000 times. So it's just more time efficient. You'll get more correction. Like I said, I can compound and polish a vehicle in 4 to 10 hours, depending on how bad it is. If I was to do that same thing by hand, you're talking 3 days worth of work.
4 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
That's why it costs so much money. That makes a lot of sense. What about two do-it-yourself things? Like how expensive are the machines for those buffers that you have? Those pads?
About $120. So like this one that I have right here, it's Griot's Garage's 6-inch one. I put a 5-inch little backing plate on it, but basically, like I said, it moves all around like this, but it's smaller. It's a little bit heavier. It vibrates quite a bit. But it was like $120 and it'll get the job done. I've used this at least on 200 cars, for example. Perfect product. It won't break the bank.
So what if I'm not a detailer? Think about this. What if I'm not a detailer, but I happen to have a round sander and you just put one of those pads on it and you use it like that?
Oh, you a random hand sander or like an angle grinder? Because I know at work you work with metal, so you're used to angle grinders.
I have both.
Okay.
You could. So those will be rotary. I used to work in a machine shop, so I've done a lot of back grinding, a lot of metal work as well. But that would be more like a rotary type machine, and you can buy pads like this that you can work with, but they're not as safe. They're not really designed for that. But you can technically do it, but I'll definitely watch a lot of YouTube videos before you do it, because you can really screw up your paint if you're not doing it right. Do not use a sanding pad, because then you'll just clear off all your paint. Don't do that. But you can get pads. There are pads designed. Like this is a microfiber. This is foam, for example. but there are some that are wool. There are some that are sanding blocks that are actually like 4,000 grit, 5,000 grit, whatever kind you want. But rotaries are kind of becoming obsolete because you can get most of the same work done off of a dual action polisher like what I just showed you, and not risk hurting your paint. So they're worth the investment. Like I said, it's $120, but at the same time, like it's a lifetime warranty. They're a really good company. Those things will last forever. You can technically go to Harbor Freight and buy one for like $80 and still get the job done. You don't need anything super crazy, but you have to have the power for it too. You can't go to Walmart and buy like that one sitting down at the very bottom. It's like $30 and you're like, yeah, you can, polish your paint. No, that's throw it away. Like it's burn it. You'll probably get more enjoyment burning that thing than you are. Yeah, you're going to get more enjoyment burning it than you are trying to actually work with it on your paint and stuff. It may be good to apply wax, but again, if I'm applying wax like one of these, I don't even use a polisher to apply it because it's like liquid almost. It's really easy to apply. I put it on an applicator pad and I just go across the paint like this, back and forth really quick. Let it haze, wipe it off, done. If I was to put it on a pad, like I could do it, but the pad, the polisher is a little bit heavier, going over across the paint, just wear me out a little bit more than just, quickly putting something down like this. But again, depending on what you use, there are paste type waxes that are out there that it's better to apply with a machine because you want to actually like kind of put it into the paint, kind of push it into the paint. For example, you're going to get a lot more oscillations per minute using an actual polisher.
So let me see if I understand this. In theory, you could use an angle grinder, but it's not recommended because it's going to be too fast and likely burn through the paint. And especially like on a plastic bumper, might just melt through the whole thing.
Yeah, it may be counterproductive depending on what angle grinder you kind of used. You can do it. It'll be really powerful. You'll heat up your pad really quick. You may go through some of the chemical or the product pretty quick. Next thing you know, you'll be like, oh, well, the pad's getting hot. I got to change pad. Got to put a different one on and keep going.
What if you just had like a normal wood sander, a circular one?
The same thing. Yeah, you could technically do it. Just the biggest things that will burn through your clear coat is how quickly the panel heats up and how quick your pad heats up. So that's one of the good things about having like compounds and polishes. They're designed to also keep the pads cool, to help keep the paint cool. The problem with rotaries and anything that's really high performance like that, it'll heat up the panel pretty quickly. It'll heat up the pad pretty quickly. And then that's when you start risking the ability to damage your paint. And you have to just swap things out. Not that you can't do it. You just have to swap pads often. You'll have to let the paint cool for a minute before you go back over it if you have to. You have to just be more cautious than sometimes it's worth, I guess.
Yeah.
No thanks. No thanks. So Eric says that he's watching through his Fire Stick or Amazon Fire Stick, and he can't turn on and off the chat. So, hi Eric. He unfortunately would love to join us, but he cannot. So I'm, I guess, his intermediary here. All right. So yeah, buffers have always scared the living stuff out of me. Maybe at some point when you're ready to live stream, we'll come up there and you'll show us how to do it, so we don't melt through our bumpers and tear off our clear coat.
Yeah, it's definitely not as bad as what people make. Like my rule of thumb with one of these is you move about 1 inch per second on your paint. So when you turn it on and it's going, you're moving about 1 inch per second like this. You'll go back and forth, kind of like you're mowing grass, essentially. Like you want to really cover 50% more. Yeah, it is. It takes a lot of time. I mean, you'll see people do this all over the paint and stuff.
Yeah.
They're wearing their arm out, or they're trying to become super buff, and they're using a buffer but trying to get super buff because they're moving this 15-pound item around like crazy. And it's like, no, just slow, steady movements, 1 inch per second, back and forth like this, and then you go back up and down, and then you wipe it off, check your work. Is it corrected? If it is, do it to the rest of the vehicle. I still see some imperfections. Maybe do another pass. Maybe I need a different pad. There's all kinds of variances. That's a whole different video. But essentially, like the good rule of thumb is about 1 inch per second is what you use with one of these, and then you do that to the entire vehicle, and and you change your pads often. You keep applying chemicals, or some compound or polish, whatever you're using, and the same thing. And like I said, There's all kinds of different pads. Like I said, this is for cutting. This is to actually remove a lot of defects. It's to get rid of any scratches, any blemishes, whatever. You got foam ones, like this yellow one. These two are my go-to. Like on 99% of product or cars, these are the two products that I'll use as far as pads. This will polish it out and bring out all the rich shine. This will actually get rid of all the defects. Then they have some hybrid ones. Like this is real popular, this and this. It's a one-step. I don't know if you guys could tell or not, but there's some white. Yeah, this has some white fibers in them and black fibers. So part of it's polishing, part of it's cutting. And then this is also one of the best products on the market right now, but it's a compound and polish in one. So it kind of adheres to like whatever product that or whatever pad you're using. So if I put it on a microfiber cutting pad, the white one I just showed you, it would actually give more correction up to like 1500 grit sandpaper. I think you can go by and you can correct it with this. And then if you're polishing out, you can use, that puppy, which is the black microfibers, or use this yellow pad here and actually bring out the polish. But that's the glory of this. If I'm doing a vehicle and they don't want a 2-stage correction, or what do they call it, and you're just trying to, do the vehicle, give it as much correction as possible, but they don't want it to be like 90% improved. They just want to make it look a lot better, and they only want to spend 4 or 5 hours worth of polishing time. I'll use these two because it'll give me the most value for the customer to prep me to be able to apply this expensive $100 small vial of chemical.
That's crazy. So could you pick out like one bottle and okay, here, let me start a little bit. Let me go back a little more. Somebody doesn't want to go buy the buffer and like 5 different wheels and 8 different chemicals. Is it possible to remove basic scratches? Now, not through the clear coat, without having to buy the buffer and all the wheels and all the polishes? Is there something like, I understand it's going to be a lot more elbow grease.
Correct. So yeah, you use any of them. You can use, for example, I got one laying around. You can use like these, for example, these little pads, right? You can use these, and then you can use any type of compound or polish. They'll do the same thing, just more work. So you have you can get this at Walmart. It's not expensive. It's a compound, but it's not like overly great. It's more liquid. It's easier for new detailers or anyone trying to correct a paint. And then you'll just apply it on, and you'll just go around in circles, and you'll wipe it away, go back around in circles. But you can use any of them. It doesn't matter what chemical you use, what compound or polish you use. The only thing that the polisher is going to do is just make it more time efficient. You can get everything done with your hand if you're willing to invest the time. So someone comes by and their door opens up and it just scrapes your vehicle and it's not that thick. You can get by with just using one of those little microfiber applicator pads or whatever and put a little polish on it and rub it down and it'll be good to go. You can technically use, I don't recommend it all the time, but wherever it is, a magic eraser. So Madison, you probably have a ring on already.
What?
Yeah. So if you have, if you have any rings on and you're reaching to open that door handle, you'll probably notice on your vehicle there's all kinds of scratch marks right behind the door thing, right? So you can take this puppy and just, your nails. Your nails do it, your rings do it, jewelry, whatever. It's one of the biggest things. So this is like one of my tricks of the trade. This is, you don't want to use it on all your paint, but if you find stuff like that, you can technically use this. This is equivalent to anywhere between 500 grit to 5,000 grit sandpaper, essentially. But it doesn't leave like this wet. You can't see your clear coat coming out there. It kind of polishes it all at the same time. But you'll just spray the spot down and you'll just rub the scratch. And you can technically get by with this. With a magic eraser, you can use it on bugs. You can use it on whatever you want. And that will...
Who's that made by? Isn't that like Mr. Clean product or something?
Mr. Clean. That's my boy.
All right.
I'm into him.
I've never done that one.
What? Okay, so if I were to have paint on my car for some reason, I don't know if you know this, like let's say it's like acrylic paint and it's not coming off. Do you think Mr. Clean can save me at that point? Let's just say, I'm not saying it's one else.
For a friend.
Yes, asking for a friend. Is there a way to get paint off my car without ruining the paint? That is
so you can use the magic eraser, and that's something that's called overspray, right? So you can get that with a bunch of different products. I don't have any on here, unfortunately, but you can get by with polishing it or using a magic eraser. You can get it off with that too. If it's overspray, then yeah, you can. You're basically, you have your paint, your clear coat. Clear coat is always a little bit harder than the normal paint below it, right? That's the whole point of having clear coat. It's supposed to be a little harder. It doesn't mean it's still hard, but if you get paint on top of the clear coat, that it's not protected at all. So you can typically use a polisher and take that right off. You know, you can take it off with a polisher. You can do it by hand. It's taking more time, or you can use you can wet sand it, or if you don't want to go the route of wet sanding because you had to come up and polish it after, a magic eraser is a good alternative to that. But the biggest thing is the chemicals, and I don't know what. I have to look. I have to get back to you because I don't remember what they're called. I don't have any on me, but there are certain chemicals that you can use that you can spray on top of that spot. As long as you don't let it set on the paint, it will make the paint a little bit softer. So you can go through and you can scrub it off, whatever you need to do. And then once you're done, let it, you rinse it off or whatever, and then all is good with your normal paint. But typically you can spray it on like a towel and go over that spot to kind of make the paint softer, and then you can kind of scrub it off or whatever with, you know, a different towel, and then rinse the vehicle down and you're good to go.
Okay, so I have one more question that I've been wanting to ask. So say you have a tiny scratch in your car, and it's just like, you know, where when it scratches and then that scratch just like is a duller color, obviously it's just duller. What if you just like use the clear nail polish? What happens? What do you think would happen? Because I'm not saying I've done it, but I definitely, so I will say I did try the nail polish trick on my cracked windshield, and it didn't work at all. So I was just wondering what might happen.
If I seen that done to one of my vehicles, I'd probably cry. I was like, no. But no, it won't do anything to it. Basically, you may damage the clear coat more than help it. But you can go to like a detail shop or actually an auto body shop, and you can buy clear coat spray, and you can put that on top of it. Just one spray, you know, on it. And you can just tape it off, you know, tape around the vehicle, just leave like that scratch or whatever, tape around it. So let's say there's a scratch right here, you know, you just tape off, then you just spray some clear coat on it. And then you go back and you can use hand or a polisher, and then you'll just go over it with a compound and polish to put it back on there. It's not going to be as good as automotive clear coat, but it will get you, you know, 40 to 60% of the way there, and you're not really going to notice it if it's just a small little spot. It's a good way to touch up clear coat if you're having like a clear coat failure or scratch that, you know, went through the clear coat. But there's a lot of times too that people think there's a scratch and it's like through the clear coat. You can still polish it, and you can't really see that scratch unless you get directly in the right light to see it. A lot of people don't realize that. They're like, oh, I have this black vehicle and I see this big long, you know, my ex decided to scratch the vehicle. It's like I can probably go through there and buff that out, and you can't even tell it unless you're like getting down on the ground to look at a specific angle, and then you'll see the scratch or whatever. But there's always that you can do too. You know, I always advise trying to correct it yourself with a compound and polish, see what it's really like, and see if you're like, okay, I can deal with that. I can barely see it, because you got to think like after it's perfectly clean and whatever else, you know, it's going to get dirty, right? So maybe get covered up with mud, maybe get covered up with bug guts, bird droppings, whatever. And you may not see it anyway. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But you always want to at least put some protection on it as well. So if you do see the scratch, you probably want to put a sealant or a wax or a ceramic coating, whatever. And that way, if it won't get worse.
Yeah, worse is no good. We don't want that.
Nope.
And your friend's quite the experimenter there, Madison.
I'm a fan of creating my own do-it-yourself. So.
Right on. Hey, well, necessity, the mother of all invention, right?
Yeah. When I found out my windshield, like to replace it was $1,000, I was like, I'll just use some Gorilla Glue and some clear nail polish, and the crack will not spread. I'm sure of it. And that's inaccurate. The crack is on both sides of my windshield now. 3 sides actually.
Oh yeah, if it's on the windshield, you're host.
Yeah.
How much you can do with that?
That's quite a bit. So Daniel Dempsey wants to know how we've obtained some of our scratches. I'll start this one off. I think I sent you a picture, Dylan, of our trip when we were out with this last time. Some of those trails were not on the maps when we were driving along. We couldn't find them, and some of them hadn't been traveling forever, and they got narrower and narrower and narrower to the point where we actually got out my chainsaw and we're using it as a hedge trimmer to make the path just wide enough for the vehicle, and then we'd work together to pitch them off to the side and get rid of them and whatnot. This last trip, though, definitely there were a couple of times where it sounded like fingernails on a chalkboard going down both sides of my truck. I'd drive down parts of the road and it would be fir trees on both sides. That's not a big deal. It sounded like you're just being, massaged as you go through. And that's the worst part for me was it's taking off the coating of dust that I'd spent the day earning, in my opinion. But then we get to this bush that was like this teal green with these thorns that were just, they would just drag down the side of your car. So I've yet to wash my truck, to be honest, because I'm scared to see what it's going to look like. Because as you both know, I take much pride in my truck, but yet I take it off road. So I know it's inevitable that it's going to get scratched, dented, dinged, and whatnot. But I'm trying to prolong that inevitable. So Dan just posted another comment, Madison, saying,
yeah.
Remember those? Oh, you can read these? Okay. Company.
Yeah, so I've tried, but I have computers in my windshield, and that's why it costs so much money. It's like taking out the computer and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, there's some of them do have antennas and whatnot, I think, for your car radio.
Well, yeah, so I have I have cruise control that keeps track of how many cars are in front of me or how many car lanes, like distance, and then the rear view and all that stuff is all in my windshield. So all that has to get taken out, and I don't know. Honda. God, I won't do that again.
That's a lot of money.
And that's why I can't get my car detailed. So I might be
starting a channel pretty soon.
Definitely.
Like I said, I need video content, so I got you.
Eleanor's perfect. I'm in.
We'll come up with more cameras and good audio gear, and you'll have two.
No clue. I definitely want to hit you up for that. I need to get some good like flyovers, like maybe where the drone's coming up from the ground or whatever to see, or overhead video of like me washing, I don't know, the hood, whatever. There's all kinds of cool videos. Yeah, we can do a lot. There's a lot we can do.
Dukes of Hazzard it, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we get the Daisy Duke shorts. I'm down. I'm up there. Like I said before, I'll bring the drones. I'll bring the cameras. I'll bring the digital audio recorder. I'll bring it all. I don't care. I'm in. I'm there for you. And sounds like Madison might come too and volunteer a car. Hers is a better color than mine. Mine's white.
Yeah. What kind of car is it?
Mine? It's a Honda Civic hatchback. We
have another guest joining us.
It's red, and it's done a lot of good things. Hi, Dan.
Dan. Madison, Dan. And you've met this other character, Dylan, once before somewhere, I think.
Might have heard him rattle his trap.
Couple times.
You have some earbuds or something? You're really quiet, Dan.
Oh, yeah. Give me a second.
Not a problem at all.
Would you be interested in looking at my car, Dylan? Riggs?
Yeah.
You got to specify.
Cool. I'm going to call you Riggs.
There you go.
There you go.
I really like that. I really like Riggs.
Yeah, it's think of Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon if you've watched it. Riggs, where are you, Riggs? Yes.
That's cool.
Can you hear us now, Dan?
Working on it.
I can't hear him.
There we go. Can you hear me better?
It's a
I
little
keep
better.
talking in the video. I mean, I can't see you guys from
Sorry to interrupt.
the
Actual
guys. Stream itself.
Let me throw a monkey in your gears here real quick.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Because you've already been a part of this because you've been commenting anyway.
Yeah, I've been
now,
joining, and I just finally got my girls down to bed. They stopped screaming and running around, so I could join in. It's been a little while.
Dan, do you have so many questions?
I've been listening the whole time. I mean, my only question is if you need some content, dude. Can you hear me now?
Nope. No, I don't hear any of you guys. Oh, there you go. I heard someone.
Good.
Here we go. I hear you, Dylan.
Okay.
Yeah, Dylan.
I heard Dan myself. I don't know the $1 million production here.
Testing. Syllabus.
Good.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
Nope,
don't really have a whole lot. No, nothing? You got nothing?
I think, Riggs, you have to leave if someone else comes on because you don't hear people when other people come on.
Or I can roll out.
Yeah. So before
Dylan,
we swap it up, is there anything you guys want to know about any of this stuff? I'll just swap the camera around and then I can join like I normally would.
Why don't you join like you normally would? Let's make it work.
Dylan's the resource, man.
Right.
I'm just a jabroni joining in.
No, we're good. I mean, we talked about
I think he just has to get off and then come back on. That's all. Yeah.
Been an interesting conversation. I've been listening to everything Dylan has to say. He's got like I said, if he needs content, man, I got some scratches on my Jeep.
Yeah, we it was.
Did you pick up on that a little bit?
Yeah, oh yeah, through the chat. Oh yeah, quite a bit. And that's part of the reason we thought we'd do this live stream was to cover more bases because I did a lot of research on YouTube, but they're like half-an-hour videos about one little aspect of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it seems like in a shorter amount of time we could cover a whole lot more ground, and maybe gain a viewer or two. So by all means, it's good when people chime in with scratches and then ask questions. It definitely helps keep things moving. And again, sorry, I'm watching 3 screens. I've got the phone from Eric and then another laptop here with this chat. And anyway, it's all good. But I'm noticing that as the sun goes down, the shadows behind me are getting really bad.
Oh, that's better than my lighting. I have a little lamp over here with the shade taken out. There he is.
Riggs, you're back. Congratulations. Did it work?
Yep, and I can actually see you guys in real time, so it's not as awkward whenever I'm like looking at my MacBook and seeing you guys talking. It's like Chinese where it's like, how are you doing? It's great.
I'm a tech genius, so I knew it would work.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. I know how to use Excel.
You got one up on me for sure. Daniel, so you got some scratches. Where'd you earn yours this last time?
Oh God. So if you see a guy saw my Jeep, you'd be like, Jesus. I got a black Jeep. Looks cool as hell, right? But worst, absolute worst color to get white is better, right? White gets dirty, but you can wash it and you don't really see the scratches. Black, I am just like zebra striped. So 4th of July weekend, I went up this really cool little, as you know, I like to explore off M3, and you guys were up there 4th of July weekend too, right? Yeah.
No, we were up in the Madison National Forest.
Say what?
Madison?
No.
I don't know where you are on your screen. Yes, we were up in the Mendocino National Forest,
right.
But we were up near FH7 312.
Yep. So
Ford Tree Camp, I think it was called.
So I was exploring kind of northern snow mountain wilderness off the M3 as you guys know I like to do. I found this really cool spot. One of the coolest spots I've found in a while had a freshwater spring like trickling down. It was about a 6-foot drop into a big pool, big kind of a stagnant pool. But I found a really cool kind of a side note. I found a really cool lily called a Pitkin marsh lily, and apparently they're like super endangered. One of my best buddies, last name Robert Pitkin. Sorry to put his name out there in the world, but there's 10 or 15 of us. Right?
Wait. What's his name?
Pitkin. Last name Pitkin. There's a lot of Pitkins. There's like a
million. Robert Pitkin. Do you know Robert Pitkin? He's a serial killer.
Oh, I don't know about that, Robert Pitkin.
Crazy. He's from Canada.
I posted this picture of this flower in my little series of pictures on Instagram, and texted me at like midnight. He's like, dude, where did you see that? That's my flower. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, dude, that's a Pitkin marsh lily. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, I was all confused for a minute. I'll try to show you a little bit. That's the flower that I found, and that's
rad.
thing in the background, right? So that was a really cool, like a treasure that we found out in the middle of the woods. But going up that road was kind of gnarly. I had to lock up my rear lockers on the Jeep, and my buddy with a rental Jeep, who had the damage waiver, like he did not treat that thing very nice, but he couldn't get up there. So we like consolidated into my Jeep and went up this road, found that little spring, and man, there was like, I'm okay with bushes, but there were branches because it was a burn zone, and like, dude, I mean, they were like, it wasn't just like, it was like thumping and beating down the side of my Jeep, just like boom, bam.
Oh no!
I was like, event though.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, that's why I bought the damn thing. You know what I mean? I treat my car like a baby. The Jeep is for Jeeping. So it's not an old Jeep, and it was an expensive Jeep, but I beat the hell out of that thing. And man, Dylan, if you really need some good material, bro, I've got some fresh scratches.
You have my number.
Really
just text them to me, and I'll be like, got you. Let's see what we can do.
What a trip.
But yeah, no. So I definitely got a lot of damage. I've gone through a lot of bushes. I need limb risers because I'm not scared of stuff hanging down and all that shit. I just punch through it. I punched through some bushes. On one of the live streams a while back, I talked about a creek bed that I wanted to go explore that washes into the camp that you posted a video of off the M6 over there. Just where is that, south and east east of the game refuge, where it kind of borders there, and you drive down that little road, and there's like kind of two little camping areas on the Eel River there. Mm-hmm. So I found I was as the crow flies a quarter of a mile east of that, which there's no other way to get over there except for by the M3, and I had to like pull trees out of the road. I had to like smash through bushes and stuff to get there, but I went down. It's called Corbin Creek. If you find that spot on your pin on your map, and just go a little bit north up the Eel River, you'll see Corbin Creek washes in, and then you can go follow that upward east on Google Earth. You'll see, and I wouldn't recommend taking anything but a Jeep, honestly, or a 4Runner, or like a
Volvo.
No
Volvo, no Subaru, definitely not pickup truck. I would be like, you'd have a really high pucker factor at a few places. There's two washes in particular that like almost washed the road completely out. And there's like probably a good 1,000-foot drop on the wash. So you got to like Billy goat up the side of the hill and kind of come down. And if you lose your tire, if you lose a tire, like you got a big problem, because it's a long, I mean, if you survive, it's a long damn walk, really long walk.
It's like Madison wants to go though, judging by the view.
I want to go so bad. That sounds so exciting.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat.
Did you take you didn't take the flower, did you?
No, of course not. No, I don't pick and touch or anything like that. I leave everything out there.
We only footprint.
I probably would have, I'm to be honest.
Yeah, I just take pictures. I take some pictures with my camera and my phone, and that's it.
I would love to see that.
That Corbin Creek area, I found like a really cool area, but like I went down onto the creek bed beyond the road and was like, I was looking for a swimming hole, and I was just punching through bushes, mashing through the creek. It was kind of trailblazing a little bit. You could tell it all washes out when there's a good heavy rain, so I didn't feel too bad about like destroying. It was sagebrush pretty much is what I was driving through, but yeah, you guys can see the side of my Jeep.
No wonder you sound like you got a zebra. Jeez.
Yeah, I think a zebra would be put to shame, man. It is. I got some friends. I took it to the car wash, and they're like, "Yeah, so you want us to take care of these scratches?" I was like, "Nah."
I want to
save it for me.
Yeah, I'll save them for you, man. It would be more. You'd see it and be like, "You'll show me how to do it. Let me have my own weekend," because it's a lot. It's gonna be a lot.
We are Madison. Just so you know, I've already been in talks with both these gentlemen about going up into that area because I've never been there.
Yeah, I'll show you guys around a little bit up there. I know some. I found a bunch of cool new spots. Found a whole bunch of new bushes to ruin the sides of your vehicles.
You know what? That's all I want is some bushes that'll ruin me.
Oh, they'll wreck you.
That's all I want to. Sorry, that was bad.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty. Never mind.
Did you catch the beginning of the show? We were talking, Daniel, about the theme on the radios, because we were doing two-way radios a whole lot on the last trip. Because there were I think at one point we had
I missed like the first 15 minutes of your stream.
We had like 9 cars or something like that. And Madison, you want to go ahead and fill them in on the running joke?
Well, basically, I just started to talk about how much I love edging, and it was about going on the side of the road, like where the mountain, meets the road, and you go on the edge, but also other connotations. So it's like a double entendre. So we've been doing that this whole time. Edging's a good time in any way, shape, or form. I've never heard a bad edge.
So it was a running joke it became for all of us the whole trip. It was, how could we somehow bring in edging and like staying on the edge but not going over the edge, Like,
dang, I missed out. I contemplated coming to find you guys, like just to go up that way and track y'all down. I had like, I was like, I'll never find you guys if I went up there. You guys were probably a good 3 hours overland to where I was. You guys were easily, and then I would have just been circling.
You can take I think it's the M6 leads you to FH7.
Yeah.
Pretty close to the
the 3 will meet up with the 6, and then the 6 I could go up over, or I could have cut over to the M1 and gone up that way. But it's like from the M3 from where I was on like the complete opposite side, and there is no. I like challenging roads, but there's no like quick way to get to where you guys were.
Yeah. I don't like it when it's quick. Like I like the trip. I like the full trip. That's
why we all love edging.
That's why I wish I was part of your joke, damn it. I missed out.
You're always able to join in on the edge. Like you really are. You got the joke and now you're in on it.
Man.
There you go. You guys are all in on our edging joke, okay?
There were a few times I think I had to pull over and catch myself because I was like, my stomach was hurting. Like, oh my God, this is too funny. Especially when you're watching them in front of you or behind you. They're like, they'll hit the berm and the Subaru will go back down and make some joke. And you're like, oh my God, it's full of dust. I'm pulling over.
So were y'all running CBs or were you running shortwave? What are you guys running for communication?
I had my 2, and another gentleman, Dino, had 2 Belfangs. And then I think we had a couple of little cheapos going at some point too. I don't know what the other Forester or the Caprice were running, because we had the Caprice up there also.
Dylan, did you go too?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, bummer.
He was invited.
Huge bummer.
Madison, what were you riding in?
My Eleanor, it's a 2019 Honda Civic hatchback.
Holy send it.
She made it to and from camp with no issues at all.
No issue. And you know what? Thank you. I do want to say this because I always use my GPS. I hardly ever drive at night, and I'm never in the mountains. And I was in a Honda Civic hatchback with no off-road tires, and I made it at midnight. I started driving to get home to Guerneville from the Mendocino Forest alone with no GPS and nothing, and I did it, and Eleanor did not pop a tire. I'm blessed. I'm blessed with my car choice.
You might, if you end up making it onto like if we do like a group trip to the M3, you're definitely not going to make it out there. You're gonna have to hop in with somebody.
That's fine.
She was with another person who had a 14 to 16.
It was a 16 like Forester.
Yeah, there you go. With a little lift, ATs, and then his front bumper was cut. So he could attack actually some berms and whatnot and destroy his car.
My buddy that was going to rent the Jeep, he actually got lucky because he was gonna rent a Forester, and he lucked out. They got a Jeep last minute, and he came with us. So like there's one small gatekeeper on M3 about a few miles in where I've mentioned this before on your streams where the road has slid down. Last time I talked to you about it, I said it had been rounded a bit and it was a lot easier to get by. Well, the road slid down a little bit more. So now I've got a video of it. That doesn't really do it justice. I don't think even a Forester would make that trip. Dylan, I think your pickup truck would do it because my buddy made it in a Dodge, no lift, no nothing, just standard tires. He made it with a little bit of rub, but yeah, no, Subarus ain't gonna make it. Definitely not a Honda. But I got a winch. I got a winch still. I got a winch and I got traction pads, so like I can yank. Like if you don't care about your undercarriage, like we'll get you through it.
No.
And I don't know how you feel about water crossings, but there's about 18 inches of water you got to go through too at one point. So that
you just like put a few
carpet cleaning. Don't worry, I can help with that too.
Yeah.
Let's just put some tubes underneath my tires and my car will float like a boat.
We'll just float you across.
Sure. No problem. I have 4 inner tubes right now.
We just have to park. You just have to park down at Penny Pines. You'll hop in the rig with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
We'll just wrap the whole car in bubble wrap. It'll float and protect the finish at the same time.
There you go. I can keep you guys out of the bushes. We don't have to do all that. But M3 does have a couple gatekeepers. The first being the creek. And damn near anything will make it through that creek. I'll get a Honda Civic through that creek too. You might get a little bit of wet carpet, but it'll go through. I don't think you'd want to, but it can be done. I don't want
wet carpet.
But that road drop on the 3, that's a gatekeeper that's going to keep all the cars out. That being said, if you came in from the I-5 north of Willows, there's an entryway up that way, but that's a big several hour loop around. You could come in south, but yeah, that's easier just to find an extra seat and throw your gear in the.
All right, so I'll just hop in with someone else.
Yeah, you can tell by the way Daniel talks that I want to go with him because he definitely knows the area a little bit. So I'll work around your and your wife's schedule, and so I can go. And I promised my family I wouldn't set foot on that trail until I brought them also. So
yeah, I got some cool little spots. I found some, like I said, new spots like that. That Corbin Creek was really cool, and it was really far out there, and nobody had been there in at least a season because I had to pull 3 trees off the road to get out there.
Get the lady out. She'll take care of those.
Yeah, but really cool spot. I mean, it's far out there though, especially coming from the south. I mean, that's going to take you. It takes me about 2.5 hours to get to the north side of Snow Mountain Wilderness on the M3 to the area that I like to camp in or find a camping spot. And then it's another solid 1.5 hours beyond that off of a side offshoot. And then that offshoot gets kind of rugged at times. If you were to camp out there, you would never in a million years. Nobody. I mean, that was the busiest weekend I've seen on the M3 ever. And I saw probably 4 vehicles out there the whole weekend, and that I've never seen that many out there in one weekend. So you're never going to see anybody on.
We did see, because we were near private property, the 312. We actually saw a car every 2 hours, maybe 3.
Oh wow!
They would drive by on a frontage road kind of thing, not through camp. So we'd see them, but. For the most part, the dust would go the other direction, which was really handy until Eric and Madison and everybody left, and then it decided to blow into camp when I was there. So I was like, "Gosh darn it!" But yeah, when you're out on the trails or FH7 or any of the other end roads. There's so many. I'm trying to think of them, but we hit so many. I don't know that we saw any other cars when we were out the whole time.
You guys look like you were all over the place. I saw you did a little bit of toe strapping on somebody too.
Oh, that was Eric. Yeah, on the 240. Yeah,
was that the Volvo?
Yeah, they went big. You got to give him credit. I mean, he went and sent it down these places and no fear.
He went, and I thought when we were going down the hill, I told Dino, I was like, I don't know if he's going to be able to get back up. And I'm not an off-road expert, but that's what I was thinking. And then we couldn't get back up. So then we tried to find another route, and we found a road, and then it was completely washed out. So then we had to try a few times to get him up there, and it worked. It was a really good time.
Yeah, a Subaru, the side of it, or the picture of a Subaru recovering a Volvo is kind of interesting, I got to say.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I posted a picture of that on Facebook.
Yeah, that's different for sure. You did.
I definitely said there was. I said there's no way this Subaru is gonna get that Volvo up there so easily.
That's fun though. You know, like having a Jeep is cool in its own way, but it takes almost all the fun out of the serious stuff. You know what I mean? Or even the minor stuff like that, like an upward slope. For me, it's just I'm just going up another hill. But like I definitely seek the harder stuff because that's the fun stuff. And I mean, it'd almost be fun to take a Civic out there. I'd have a kick-ass time doing that.
Let's do it. I'm so into it.
It's talking about a different thing though.
It's fine. Let's just destroy everything. Huh?
I'm just going to take it for a quick drive. You trust me?
Sure.
You're breaking your body.
It's good.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, fingers crossed he broke it, so then he buys it.
But I did find a couple other cool spots. I found drive-in camping areas in wilderness that are in the wilderness boundary. I actually I saw a ranger when I was driving in, and I asked him about that, and he said, yes, you're absolutely legal to have wood-burning fires. So I found some really cool spots that I was able to do that. And I had water nearby, I had a creek, I was able to have a wood burning fire. And so I'd love to take you guys up there because I know spots where we can camp with no fire restrictions. I have a propane fire pit too that I'll bring with me. But I found some badass spots.
Yeah, we borrowed a propane fire pit. We never ended up using it because actually we got lucky enough that when we arrived in camp, a friend of mine, that a cool surprise. But California Conservation Corps was literally there raking and cutting as we were pulling in. So it was like the groundskeepers were there to clean up the area. So we were there, and there's like these piles of dead branches and whatnot. But for the most part, everything was clean and nicely raked. It was like, this is fabulous. It's like housekeeping. You know, they checked out, we checked in. You know, it was great.
That's super cool.
We had the spring water down below, which was great because we were able to put our fire out. But I didn't bring bucket lids, and the road was too rutted. I would have spilled all the water on the drive up. So we manually carried it from camp or down from the spring up to camp. But next time, bucket lids.
I didn't carry it.
Motivational support. You at least came with us.
I carry the flashlight. You know what? And it's so funny. I was gonna offer, but then I thought, but what if I can't carry it? So I just didn't even try.
Oh, thanks. Because even 5 feet is the savings, but it's all good. That area was great, and I still have a laundry list. I think I have 12, or I hate to use the number 13, but I'll use it anyway.
I like 13.
Landmarks, or actually not landmarks, pins that were provided to me of places to visit in that area, and I can't wait to get up there. I haven't said it yet, but you all know all my pins are now available through Patreon. So if you want to see where I've been in my notes, you can get those. But we're still doing product testing to see what they work in and don't work in. But yeah, there's a bunch of pins in there that I haven't even been to yet. I have them in the notes, as haven't been here yet, but I have every intention to. When we were out scouting for those train car bridges, I had misheard the person who told me about them. I didn't know there were 2 locations. I found 2 in one location and thought that was it. Well, there's a whole other area where there's another one that's been abandoned.
What is that?
They use railroad cars as bridges.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure you've seen those, but they're in the middle of like nowhere. Like, how did you even get this thing in here? And then somehow you had to get a crane and cement and heavy equipment, and I don't know. But anyway,
Chinook chopper maybe.
Maybe, but then I guess that's a good way. Then you don't have to worry about the road. So there's a lot of good things to come. I can't wait to hit the M3 with all of you. I think that would be an epic trip. It's just a matter of narrowing down the time for all of us, but I think we can come up with that one pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think Dylan would work for him because he can cut down go to the 5 and then over to the 20, and then head west that way. And it wouldn't be that. It would not be the exact same drive, but it wouldn't be quite as brutal as meeting us up at like where we were last weekend. That was a little much. Still doable, but
Yeah, I mean,
it might be a little better down in the M3 area.
Meeting up in Upper Lake somewhere would be the best staging point for that, because you're going to go up the M1, cut over the M10 at Penny Pines, and then from there, that's where you're going to head. Heading north on the M3 is way more entertaining, because as you get too far above like Windy Point and some of the other areas on the M3, you're going to start getting into that more dry altitude, and it's pretty and the views are sweeping, but as you all know, I love water, and all the water is on that portion that kind of hugs in and around and through the Snow Mountain Wilderness. Even in in July, there was still a ton of water. Springs crossing the path. You got 1, 2, 3 creek crossings, all flowing, and then Crane Creek was flowing. So coming in from the Upper Lake side, meeting up in Upper Lake at the Chevron or something like that would be ideal. And I think what you're saying is,
yeah, it sounds awesome.
Dylan coming up and then over from 5 would probably be plenty feasible, or even up to 29.
Yeah,
you're coming from Travis, right, Greg? Yeah, yep. So you could even come up 29 through all of that and come up through Lower Lake potentially.
No, that's the area I would go. I'd go up over the grade on 29 to 59 or something like that.
Yeah,
and then to the 20 would be the way I'd go. And yeah, we could just somewhere in the middle, and that'd be fantastic. I'd love to do that. Yeah, tomorrow, but unfortunately that's not happening.
Dude, tell me about it. I get back, I get everything clean, and I'm like, man, I want to go back.
I haven't even emptied my trailer. It's still full of all my camping stuff, and I have to go to work tomorrow. Like, I don't want to do it, but I haven't decided how I'm going to weasel out of unloading the trailer and loading all the tools back in there. Because it just, to me, I don't know how it feels like I'm not going camping, but yet I'm not going anyway. Like, I have a trip on the books, but it's still like, I think 2 weeks away. No, actually, no, it's a week from this weekend. But if I empty the trailer, it feels like I'm that much further away. So
right.
I don't want to do it. But yeah, I'd love to figure something out. We need to at some point start nailing down dates, but we'll worry about that from another show or another time when we're not live, so to speak. But
sure.
Again, with that in mind, though, if anybody wants to reach out to me, please do. You can find me on Facebook under the name displayed there, Dylan Pankow. Send me a direct message, private message, depending on your generation, and I will do my best to respond to you and answer your question, whether it be, hey, you got a recommendation, or where can you steer me towards understanding this regulation a little bit better? Again, I don't work for the Forest Service. I'm not associated with, I'm not sponsored by it, but I know a whole lot of people, and I love to help people out. So if you have any questions or comments, shoot them my way, and I'll do my best to either answer them. And if I'm not 110% confident in my answer, I will give you a reference that you can call that will give you a 110% correct answer. So, yeah, Dylan. I'm still looking through my notes. I think for the most part we've covered everything we need to.
I think so. We dragged it on a lot longer than like I said, I'm very passionate about detailing. So, for me, I can talk about, just a brush for 20 minutes. Like, oh, here's all the uses you can use for it, But yeah, this is just more of an inside of knowledge, I guess. Like, hey, what's coding? What's this? What's that? But it's cool. You can't go wrong. A lot of people are like, don't buy this, don't buy that. You can pretty much buy anything at the store, right? At Walmart, AutoZone, whatever, and they'll all get the job done for the most part. And that doesn't matter if it's a polish or a compound. They'll get most of your results to what you're seeking, and they'll improve your paint or whatever. There are just better options out there that exist where it's either a little bit more of a time saving for one, or two, it's just cheaper. Like I said, that Optimum no rinse, I mean, it's magic, right? It's $30-$40 or whatever, but you can make 250 gallons of car wash basically off of that one jug, for example. Yeah. And like I said, you can't get any better than that. You can buy a quick detail spray, but you can make a quick detail spray too. That's where detailing is how you can buy a certain product and get 20 cars out of it versus buying that same product pre-diluted at AutoZone and cost $20 and get you 2 cars out of it.
They're buying a lot of water, huh?
Yep.
What's your
And that is pretty much one of my most expensive things. Actually, buying distilled water. You can get deionized water pretty easily. So RVs have them. You can go to Walmart or some places. You can get the actual RV type fillable containers. You can plug it to your water socket or your hose bib outside, and you can basically rinse your vehicle off. And it won't be 100% deionized, but it will be from there's a way to measure it, but it'll greatly reduce it. And I know heavy, out here it's heavy water out in California. And I came from Texas; it was heavy there, but I had a solution for that. Out here, you can buy the same type of thing. There's called the CR Spotless. So anytime you're doing some vehicle detailing, you can use rinse your vehicle off with deionized water. You won't get water spots in the sun or whatever. That's something we kind of didn't talk about in this one. But there's solutions no matter what year you're here. What doesn't matter if it's a drought. Often no rinse, like I said, is a go-to product. But that's really what you're paying for. You're finding those boutique stuff. But they all will get the job done. Like you can go and completely buy PNS stuff, for example, and they'll all get the job done. But you might find a soap that smells a little bit better, maybe lasts a little bit better or longer or whatever, or just be more cost efficient, right? You have to be able to be willing to try different products. But for me, a lot of stuff that I could push is I'm taking the guesswork out for you. I know what is a good product, what isn't, just because I've tested so many different products. I like to review them. And I try to put them through torture tests, how long they last. And hopefully we'll be able to push videos or content out where I take that guesswork out. You can just be like, oh, okay, well, he says that's a good car soap. Let me go pick that car soap up, and hey, it's a good car soap.
Hey, Briggs, what's your take on? I always get ads on my Instagram and stuff for that top coat F11 or something.
Yeah, undo those ads. Do not recommend.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I always see it, and it looks enticing. Like, oh, I could shine up my motorcycles, maybe shine up my cars a little bit.
It's all marketing. F11. There's a bunch of other products that do the same thing.
I looked at buying it. I was like, damn, it's kind of spendy for what it is. I feel like.
Yeah, it's marketing. Yeah, marketing. That will actually, if anything, it will screw up your paint more than likely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that liking to any of the products that you were talking about earlier? In terms of form, fit, and function, kind of.
So this is a spray ceramic coating, right? But this one has 30% SiO2 versus what other ones do. So you could spray this on the applicator pad to apply it. This is very similar to what F11 would be. So if you don't apply it correctly or whatever else, and it cakes on your vehicle, it's a pain in the ass to get off. If you don't apply it right, you could technically hurt your paint too.
Is that the one that you were saying is kind of like a liquid glass?
Correct.
That's the one you're talking about.
So these two, this is a pure ceramic coating, right? This crystal serum light. I don't know if you were around when I kind of took it out, but you can see the bottle here.
I think I was. I had kids rattle. Yeah. Okay, that's the one I remember. Yeah.
Yes. So this is pretty much pure SiO2, 90-something% glass, basically glass atoms, you can call it. This is 15% SiO2. The rest is actually water, essentially.
Okay. And you put that on a clean prep surface, right? You don't. That's not like a one wipe swipe, and now you're
correct.
Shining. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a good. I bought that marketing wise. I wanted to test it, review it. It was new. I wanted to see how well it performed and stuff, and it's okay. I mean, it'll give you protection and stuff. It's supposed to say 1 year, 4 months maybe. And I clean my car every single weekend. I full detail maintenance wash. There's no dirt on my vehicle at all every single week. I got 4 months out of a year. So it's not it's mostly marketing. Like I said, it'll say up to 1 year. Well, that really means, okay, I'm going to park it in the garage, put something on top of it, and it's never going to see dust or anything at it whatsoever, and you may get 7 or 8 months out of it still. But yeah, there's all kinds of different products out there. I can recommend them if you're trying to just clean your vehicle and yourself. I can show you all kinds of different chemicals and stuff, what to buy and what's good, what's not.
Very good.
I'm into that idea. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, my Jeep is like beyond help. It needs like surgery, and the paint it's on life support right now. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna line X the whole thing because that's the only thing that's gonna.
Let's all go. We'll go up there. I'll bring my drones. Madison will drive, and actually you can drive too. I'll just swap between vehicles, and we'll go up there and we'll live stream it from like 5 different angles, in Dylan's driveway.
Yeah, I have room. I can fit 2 cars. I can do 2 cars, almost 3 cars in my garage, right? And then I can fit probably 4 cars in the driveway.
All right. Well, hey, we only need 2 because mine's not really all that bad. It just needs a really bad wash. But big deal. But yeah, I'm down. Whenever you've come on my show enough times, I got to help you out. So I'm up there with the drones. I'll bring my Part 107. We'll be good to go. And we'll get it from every single angle. We'll hit it from the front and the back.
Yeah.
So with that bombshell, I'm gonna say I gotta go. It's a good night. I'm already getting message from the family that you've been on for a long time. I know, but I'm having a good time with my friends.
Yeah, 2 hours. 2 hours and 19 minutes.
So yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Yep.
Yeah, and counting. So it's been a pleasure though, and Daniel, thank you for coming on. It's always nice to see your face. And oh yeah, by all means. Let's see if we can make something work out and get up there to the M3 area. Dylan, when you're ready for us, you let us know, and I'll make the time.
Yeah, so
to come up there.
Work's gonna be changing since I work in in the medical field. We may be going to like reduced manning again, meaning like I may work 2 days, off 3 days, work 3 days, off 2 days type stuff. I may be doing that, and so I may have a good amount of time, but the only sticky part is, am I on call? Am I going to have to be back within an hour? That type of stuff. I had to figure out those fine details. But if there's areas with service and stuff, I can just bring my laptop and remote in and be done. As long as I can, remote in from home.
I got one spot on a hillside where you might get maybe a bar with the AT&T. Yeah. My Sprint phone didn't work. My AT&T got 1 bar. It's like enough that when you're driving through, it'll like set off every notification that you missed for the last 2 days. And then by the time you hear it, it's gone. So about the best I can probably. Does the military still work? Back in my day, we just put in for a pass for the weekend and they cut you loose. Can you still do that?
Kind of, yeah. I have to take leave, but I don't want to use my leave days to. Yeah.
We used to get passes, like, you know what I mean. It wasn't leave.
Every weekend is considered a pass automatically. So you can go out and do whatever you kind of want and stuff. So if it's on the weekend, I'm fine.
Got it.
But with the schedule and stuff, I work in a 2-man shop. It's me and one other individual. If he gets COVID and he's out, it's just me.
Yeah.
There's no one else. Granted, if I get COVID or whatever and he has to, same thing, right? But for the most part, it's fine. I can still work from home. I remote in, like I said, it's medical, but I work in the IT field for it now, right? So for me, it's just being able to remote in, and as long as I can, get service or let them know, like, hey, I'm gonna be outside of this area. Can you take my call for me? Like, there's ways I could work around it. I just have to kind of know at least, almost a week to 2 weeks in advance. That way I can plan around it.
Very good.
So it sounds like we better hurry on getting these cars cleaned up and then going out and tearing them up again.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm into it.
Tear my kid up.
Okay. So let's see if we can get.
I'm sorry.
Let's see if we can maybe start a group chat or something somewhere, and we'll start coordinating dates and see what we can iron out between everybody's schedules.
Yep. I got a big August might be kind of hard for me, but we'll figure that all out. Yeah.
It's okay. So why don't you guys hang out for a second? Let's all say goodbye. Thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate your watch time. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next broadcast. Cheers.
Peace.
Bye.